زيد بن عاصم وهو جد عمرو بن يحيى هل تستطيع أن ترياني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ؟ فقال عبد الله بن زيد نعم. فدعا بوضوء فأغلد يده
فأفرغ
فأفرغ يد اليمنى فغسل يده مرتين ثم مضمض واستنشق ثلاثا ثم غسل وجهه ثلاثا ثم غسل يديه إلى المرفقين مرتين ثم مسح برأسه بيديه فأقبل بهما وأدبر. بدأ بمقدم رأسه ثم ذهب بهما إلى قفاه ثم ردهما حتى رجع إلى المكان الذي بدأ منه ثم غسل رجليه. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن أبي زناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا توضأ أحدكم فليجعل في أنفه ماء ثم لينثر ومن استجمر فليوتر
من وتر
فليوتر. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك أنه بلغه أن عبد الرحمن ابن أبي بكر دخل على عائشة رضي الله عنها يوم مات سعد بن أبي وقاص فدعا بوضوء فقالت له عائشة أسبغ الوضوء يا عبد الرحمن فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ويل للعقاب من النار. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن أبي إدريس الخولاني
ذا زهري
ابن شهاب عن أبي إدريس الخولاني أن النبي عن أبي هريرة أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من توضأ فليستنثر ومن استجمر فليوتر.
طيب قيل كتاب الطهارة. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن عمرو بن يحيى المازني عن أبيه أن رجلا قال لعبد الله ابن زيد ابن عاصم وهو جد عمرو بن يحيى هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كيف كان نبي ولا رسول؟ كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ؟ فقال عبد الله بن زيد نعم. فدعا بوضوء فأفرغ على يده اليمنى فغسل يده مرتين ثم مضمض واستنشق ثلاثة ثم غسل وجهه ثلاثة ثم غسل يديه إلى مرفقين مرتين ثم مسح برأسه بيديه فأقبل بهما وأدبر. بدأ بمقدم رأسه فذهب بهما إلى قفاه ثم ردهما حتى رجع إلى المكان إلى المكان الذي بدأ منه أي ثم غسل رجليه. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن أبي الزناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من إذا توضأ أحدكم فليجعل في أنفه ماء ثم لينثر وإذا استجمر ومن استجمر فليوتر. Okay. ومن both places. Okay. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك أنه بلغه أن عبد الرحمن بن أبي بكر رضي الله تعالى عنهما دخل على عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها يوم مات سعد بن أبي وقاص رضي الله تعالى عنه فدعا بوضوء فقالت له عائشة يا أسبغ الوضوء يا عبد الرحمن فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ويل للعقاب من النار. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا ابن شهاب عن أبي إدريس قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن ابن شهاب عن أبي إدريس الخولاني عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من توضأ فليستنثر ومن استجمر فليوتر. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن محمد بن يحيى بن طحلاء عن عثمان بن عبد الرحمن عن أبيه أنه رأى عمر حدث أنه عن أبيه أن أباه قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن محمد بن يحيى بن طحلاء عن عثمان بن عبد الرحمن أن أباه حدثه أنه رأى عمر بن عمر يتوضأ وضوءا لما تحت إزاره بالماء. بس طيب، الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. This bab, first we'll talk about the chapter. The last chapter was Kitab al-Wuqut. And we said that Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to prefer, or he used to give more importance to the time over purification. And we talked about how that becomes important in this diham, when there's only the possibility to do one of them. Pray on time or make wudu to pray. You only have time to do one. Which one do you do? Here it would seem that Malik's view is that you pray on time even without a wudu. And we said that this is khilaf of the majority of the scholars who give preference to wudu or tahara over the time. So they make tahara the most important pillar, the most important shart or prerequisite of salah. وذلك لحديث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الطهور شطر الإيمان. Purification is half of iman. And you could say what is meant by iman in this hadith. Purification is half of iman. What is iman in this hadith? الإيمان بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر. Does that, purification is half of that?
Yeah.
You could say that that iman in this hadith is salah. Because Allah says what? وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah would not waste your iman. And what is the iman in this ayah? Salah, right? So, for that reason, they say at-tahur shatrul iman, that purification is half of the salah, right? That's one of the most, if not the most important pillar or shart of salah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا يقبل الله صلاة أحدكم لا يقبل الله صلاة من أحدث حتى يتوضأ. Allah does not accept the salat of the one who has committed a hadith until he makes wudu. And so, for that reason, you find that a lot of the scholars, they give preference over over tahara more than the rest of the conditions of salah. But in any circumstance, Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he brought it here secondly, right after Kitab Wuqut or Awqat as-Salah. طيب, ما هو الطهارة? This is an important distinction that people need to make, because a lot of times they can express themselves wrong in different conversations. When we talk about tahara, we're not specifically talking about wudu. Tahara is two types. If you want, you could say three. But when the people of fiqh talk about it, it's two. Three types of tahara. Or we'll make it, I'll give a different category. And this type of categorization, it doesn't matter how you do it, right? As long as you know all of the things. So you can say it's two types. Physical and non-physical. Non-physical tahara is the tahara of the heart. Purifying your heart from shirk, kufr, nifaq, things like that, right? إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, right? Those who come to Allah with a pure heart, right? And a purification of the heart. This is in the affairs of aqeedah and in the affairs of mahabba for the Muslims, that you don't have jealousy and hatred. رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Oh our Lord, don't put in our hearts animosity towards those that have iman. This is the purification of the heart. And the purification of the heart is not physical. There is nothing that you can physically do to purify your heart, but it's through your iman So therefore, the purification of the heart in this meaning would be looked up in books of Aqidah. Or it's through your suluk, right? Through the way you conduct yourself, in your character, in your morals, in your etiquette. And so this type of purification of the heart would be looked up in books of adab, in books of akhlaq, and books of zuhud, what they sometimes would call books of tasawwuf, right? This is where that type of information would be looked up at. But that's the purification that has nothing to do with the physical purification, the non-physical purification. Then we have the physical purification, which is what is being referenced in books of fiqh and by extension, books of hadith. So when we talk about tahara in books of hadith, in books of fiqh, we're talking about the physical purification. So what is the physical purification? Physical purification can be broken down into three things. The removal of hadith, raf'ul hadith. And we've talked about before, and we all know that hadith is a quality that, or a state that your body ends up in because of something you did that stops you from being able to pray or things similar. Something you did has now made it not permissible for you to make salat or things similar to salat, like touching the mushaf, like entering into the masjid, like making dhikr in certain, opinions and things like that, reading Quran. These things, once you're in a state of hadith, depending on the severity, you can no longer do them. And ending up in this state of hadith is because of an action that you did with your body, but the hadith is non-physical. It's an abstract impurity. You can't see it. You can't recognize it, right? You can't look at somebody and know that they are muhdath. In the hadith, it is broken into two categories. Hadith akbar wa hadith asghar. Hadith akbar is the purification for it that's required is a ghusl. In hadith asghar, the purification that's required for it is tayammum. And the only thing that can be used to make this type of tahara is water. You cannot make wudu with anything other than water. You cannot make a ghusl with anything other than water. So the only thing that can remove hadith, whether it is akbar or asghar, is water. Unless you don't have water, then what can remove hadith al-akbar and asghar is tayammum. But we'll talk about eventually, does tayammum get rid of the hadith or not? Some scholars say tayammum doesn't actually get rid of the hadith. It's just a mubih. It's just something that allows you to pray now because you don't have water or can't use it.
For both akbar and asghar?
For both akbar and asghar. Because they say the only thing that can get rid of hadith is what? Water. Like, I can't use the water. I don't have any water. Yeah, Allah allowed you to make tayammum, but you still have hadith.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's why the moment you see water, you have to do what? You have to make wudu, right?
If you made tayammum and then you made salah and then you go later
and you see water,
yeah.
You're already done with salah, no problem.
Yeah.
But the question is, what if you see water while you're praying? And that's why this position becomes problematic, because if you see water while you're praying and you say that tayammum is only a mubih, you've now found water. Your salat's invalid because you have hadith.
Okay.
Right? But other scholars say no, tayammum is actually a purification. It's a replacement of water and not just a allowance. And so if you started making salat with tayammum and then somebody brings water in the middle of your salat, you can do what? You can finish your salat, right? And then after that, you have to use the water for your next salat. So that's where some of these details come into play. But the point is, the first type of tahara is the removal of hadith, whether it's akbar or asghar. And the foundation is that that is done with water, or in the absence or inability, tayammum. But you notice that tayammum is only good for removing what? It's the word we just said. Hadith. It's only good for removing hadith. Because we said physical purification is three categories. Removing hadith. The second of them is things similar to removing hadith. Meaning they look like removing hadith, or they are part of what you do when you remove hadith. But the reality of it is that they don't remove hadith, right? Either because you don't have it, or either because they're incomplete. What does this mean? Physical purification, the removal of hadith, or things similar. When you wash your hand the second and third time in wudu, what is that? Is that a purification? I'm making wudu. I wash my hand once. What am I washing my hand once for?
You're talking about in the beginning of...
No, I'm in the wudu, the part of the wudu. I wash my face once.
Okay.
What am I washing my face for?
For purification.
Purification. So I'm getting rid of the hadith.
Right.
Like, I wash my face, what did I do? I removed the hadith. I wash my face again. Is that a purification?
It was just extra.
It's extra. It's sunnah. Is it a purification?
Well, if you got it the first time, then no, that's the second.
That's where the statement things similar. Am I removing hadith?
First time.
The second time?
No.
No. But it's still a purification because I'm doing what? Something similar to removing hadith. When I wash my face the first time, I remove hadith. When I wash it the second time, that's just like what I did the first time. So it's something similar to removing hadith, even though it doesn't remove hadith. So removing of hadith or things similar. Because when I washed my face the second time, I didn't have hadith. Right? So it was something similar to removing hadith. If I had a hadith, this is how you would have removed it. But I don't, so it can't. Washing your hands before making wudu, is that a purification? Thing. Is that a purification? You say, no, why?
It's not part of wudu.
Right, but I'm doing something similar to removing hadith. Right? I'm washing my hands. Don't I do that to make wudu? That's part of removing hadith. But why isn't it removing hadith? Because when I wash my hands before the wudu, it's not removing any hadith. I still have hadith. Right? If I stopped, I still got hadith. But when I wash my hands, that was something similar to removing hadith, specifically washing my hands before I make wudu. Washing your hand or washing your nose out 3 times after you wake up in the morning. Is that purification? Huh? Why? No. After I wash my nose out 3 times in the morning, the Prophet ﷺ said, either stayqadha ahadukum, when one of you wakes up, then let him wash out his nose 3 times, for the shaitan sleeps in his nostrils. I wash my nose out 3 times. Can I go pray?
No, you gotta finish.
I didn't start wudu yet. I just washed my nose out 3 times.
So you do that before you did the wudu?
I didn't say you do it before or after. I just said I washed my nose out 3 times.
Right.
Did I remove hadith?
For your nose, yeah.
No.
What do you mean?
Because that's not even part of wudu. I just woke up and washed my nose out 3 times.
I thought you were talking about wudu.
No, we're talking about washing your... The Prophet said when one of you wakes up, then let him wash his nose out 3 times, because the shaitan spends the night in his nose.
I thought that was during the wudu.
No.
It's not?
It can be during the wudu if you do it during the wudu.
That's what I was thinking.
But it's not... It just says wash your nose out 3 times. It doesn't say when to do it or when not to do it. It says do it.
Just do it like when you wake up.
Right. Or part of your wudu is the first thing you do when you wake. But that's why I said I'm not talking about it as part of wudu. I'm just talking about the action of washing out your nose 3 times because the shaitan spends the night in it.
Can it be both?
It could be both. Okay. But we're not talking about it as both. We're talking about just that hadith. That the Prophet said wash your nose out 3 times. That hadith. Is that hadith about purification?
Yes.
Did it remove hadith?
No.
So is it about purification?
No.
It's something similar.
Okay.
Because if you were making wudu, what would you do? You would wash your nose out. Even though it doesn't remove the hadith, it's something similar to how you would remove a hadith. Taking the ghusl for Jumu'ah, is that a purification?
Depends how you do it.
We're not talking about depending on how we're talking about
No.
a ghusl for Jumu'ah.
No.
Is that a purification?
No.
It's not a purification. Why not?
It's just not getting rid of hadith.
But it is
Similar.
something similar to removing hadith. So it is a purification. That's why you would look up all of these things in what section of a book? Kitab al-Tahara, because it's something similar to purification. Let's take one more. This is a tricky one. Washing your hands 3 times when you wake up from sleeping at night. Is that a purification?
No, it's not removing hadith. Right.
As
It's
it-
something similar.
It's something similar. So is it a purification?
Yes.
If it's something similar to removing hadith, it's purification. Because when you wash your hands 3 times when you wake up because you were asleep, because one of you doesn't know where his hand spent the night, did you remove the hadith?
No.
But you did something
Same.
similar to removing hadith. Like washing your hands from dirt before you eat. Is that removing hadith? I didn't ask is
No,
it
no,
tahara on
no,
purpose.
no.
Is it removing? Is it something similar to removing hadith?
Yes.
No.
But it's the hands though.
Washing your hands because of filth that is on them before you eat. That is the third type of purification, the removal of najasa. The removal of najasa. Najasa is a physical substance that its presence is impure. A physical impure substance that gets onto a pure substance. They call that temporary najasa. Because temporary najasa can be what? Washed away. Then you have what they call permanent najasa. Permanent najasa is something that cannot be cleaned. So before that, removal of hadith, the only things that can do it is water. It has to be hadith akbar, hadith asghar. The only things that can get rid of it is water. And then there's conversation about tayammum. Things similar to hadith. I mean the removal of hadith. What's the only thing you can use?
What's the water?
Water. Can I make tayammum for cleaning up my nose in the morning if I don't have water? You say no. There's no sunnah in that. Some people might try to say comparatively yes. But the reality is no. There's no evidence for making tayammum to wash your hands 3 times before making wudu. Otherwise I'd make tayammum and then I make tayammum. Right? If you wake up after sleeping at night and you don't have any water and you have to wash your hands 3 times because you don't know where your hand spent the night, do you make tayammum? Some people will tell you, yes, make tayammum for that.
Really?
Yeah, but the reality of it is no, you don't make tayammum for that because tayammum only works for the removal of hadith. Like, the third physical purification is the removal of najasa. What is najasa? This conversation about what is najasa is a conversation that often has no benefit. Because to know what najasa is, you need the evidence. Like if I tell you a big definition for najasa, the result of that definition, you won't know the answer without evidence. So for example, the definition of najasa is anything you can't eat or use, anything you can't consume. So you can't consume it. But the reason you can't consume it is not because it's dangerous. And it is not because it's sacred. And it is not because it's disgusting. So something you can't consume, but the reason you can't consume it is not because it's dangerous. For example, can you consume bleach? Consuming bleach is what? It's haram. Right? Trump wanted you to drink bleach to kill corona. We'd say what? Somebody asked that. You see, it was a statement somebody made. Somebody asked the Muslim that question, can I drink bleach to cure corona? We would say what? Haram, ya. Why is it haram? Because it's dangerous. So I can't consume it, but the reason I can't consume it is because it's dangerous. Is it najis? How do I know it's not najis? Because I wash my clothes in it. If it was najis, my clothes would be najis after I wash my clothes in it, right? So something that you can't consume, poison. Can you consume poison? Why not? It's dangerous. Is poison najis? No. Right? So if somebody threw a vial of poison at me and I blocked it and it got on my clothes and then we finished and then I had to go make salat, do I got to change my clothes? Okay, but you got some anthrax on your sleeve. Okay, it's okay. We can make salat, right? So something that you can't consume not because it's dangerous or sacred. What's something that you can't consume because it's sacred? It's special. Something that you can't eat because it's special.
Special.
It's special. It's sacred. It's protected.
Is it like
Huh?
frogs?
No, frogs are haram. If you think they're haram, and if you say they're halal, they're halal. Depending on the evidence. Something you can't eat because it's sacred. It's important.
Horses.
No, you can eat horses. You can go to IKEA, eat the horse meatballs.
Alcohol.
Alcohol is haram. It's not sacred.
It's najis.
We didn't get there yet, but it's not sacred.
Oh, okay.
Me
Oh,
can't eat a human. Why can't you eat a human?
Sacred.
They're sacred, right?
Even if it's necessary.
Even if it's necessity, you cannot eat a human. It's sacred, right? Wild animals in the sanctity of Mecca. Can you eat them?
do it every time.
In the sanctity of Mecca.
Yeah.
Not for the one who's in ihram. That's the next thing I was about to mention. But in the sanctity of Mecca. If there is a deer grazing outside or a gazelle grazing outside of the Kaaba and you haven't eaten, can you kill it and eat it? Because it's in the sanctity of Mecca. That animal is haram to consume. Is it because it's dangerous? No. People eat gazelle all the time. It's because it's what? Sacred. Allah made it haram for you to eat that animal because of the sanctity of the place that it's at. Allah made it haram for you to eat humans because of the sanctity of what they are. If you are in a state of ihram and you are outside of Medina, if you weren't in ihram and you saw a gazelle, can you hunt it and kill it and eat it?
Outside haram? Yeah.
At Medina,
Yeah.
right? Yes, you can kill it and eat it because it's not in a sacred place. But you are in a state of ihram. Can you kill it and eat it? Because the person who's making Hajj or Umrah cannot hunt. So what they kill in that state becomes haram to consume. Is that animal najis?
No.
Right? If that gazelle licks me or its sweat gets on me, do I have to wash my clothes? No. Because it's not najis, but it's haram to consume because it's sacred. Or disgusting. And this is a tricky one. This is the one that, especially for English-speaking people, it gets confusing. Akramakumullah, boogers or snot, can you eat them? Vomit, can you eat it? You probably never thought about it. Who thinks about these things, right? But sometimes people pick their nose, akramakumullah, and eat
There's some booger here or something.
Is it permissible?
Yes.
No. It is haram to consume snot and mucus and boogers. And I'm not talking about like if you coughed and something came up and went back down, but
It was on the table.
like, ya'adhu billah, akramakumullah, some of the nasty things that people do in this society is they spit and throw up in a cup and give it to somebody to drink. Is that permissible?
No.
Is it because it's dangerous? It's disgusting. It's not sacred. It's not like we got to keep this vomit special. That is just nasty. Now, if I get throw up on my clothes, can I pray? Yeah, because throw up is not najis. But it's haram to consume because it's disgusting, right? Some places eat chocolate-covered cockroaches. Is it permissible? You said fire?
Chocolate. I like chocolate though.
You like chocolate?
Not cockroaches though.
That's what I'm saying. Why don't you eat a chocolate-covered cockroach?
Disgusting.
It's disgusting. That's a dirty bug.
Oh.
It's not like a locust or maybe even the ant, I can get with you, I can understand it, but a cockroach out, or a maggot, chocolate covered maggots.
Ooh, people eat that?
I'm sure you'll find somebody. But to eat that is it haram? We say, yeah, it's disgusting. It's haram because it's disgusting, right? وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمْ الْخَبَائِثِ. And so they say that مَسْتَقْذَرَهُ الْعَرَبِ. That which the Arabs find disgusting is haram, right? And this is a big conversation. If the Arabs think it's disgusting, it's haram, right? But the point of it is, if a maggot gets on your clothes while you're praying, right? Do you have to stop and clean off your clothes? Because maggots aren't najis. They're just disgusting. So, what is najis? Something you can't consume, not because it's dangerous, not because it's sacred, not because it's disgusting. What is something like that?
Alcohol.
Put a pin in that one. Something else.
Say it again, not because it's dangerous.
Not because it's dangerous, not because it's disgusting, not because it's sacred. What's something you can't eat?
Pig.
Pig. Why can't you eat? If you eat a pig, will you die?
No.
It's not dangerous. People have been eating pig for their whole life, right? It's not dangerous. Is it sacred? Do we have to keep pigs in a special, like Hindus think cows are sacred. You can't eat them. They're gods to them. Are pigs sacred to us?
No.
When Isa alayhi salatu wasalam comes back, he's gonna get rid of them, right? But is it disgusting?
It can be.
The Arabs think it's
For you, it's disgusting.
Right.
Because you're a Muslim.
Did you see a pig?
For you, it's disgusting because you're a Muslim and you've become accustomed to thinking it's disgusting.
Right.
But how many people eat pig normally? Don't find anything wrong with it. You tell me about chitlins, I'll be like, that's disgusting. You know how chitlins, what they are? Pig intestines, you got to salt them, make sure all the worms come out. It's disgusting.
how the majority of the world eat pig.
But the majority of the world would eat a pig and they don't have anything wrong with it. And so there, it's not necessarily disgusting. It is what? Haram. Why is it haram? It's not dangerous. It's not sacred. It's not disgusting. But it is haram. Why is it haram?
Legislated.
Because it's
Najis.
najis.
Najis out.
That's the whole definition. But at the end of the day, the only way you know that that's why it's haram is because
Najis.
Allah said so. Because you have to know it's haram before you can deem it to be najis. You see what I'm saying? So if I tell you a frog, for example, what's the ruling of a frog? Can you make that ruling before you know what Allah says about it? Can you tell me it's najis before you know what Allah says about? Is it haram or not? Because you have to know it's haram. And so for that reason, the definition of najasa is almost a non-benefit. It's a benefit in comparison, to use for comparison, but it's no benefit as it relates to knowing the reality of something. Because to know if it's najis or not, you first have to know that it's what? Haram. And if you know it's haram, does it matter why it's haram?
No.
You see what I'm saying? And so the definition of najasa can be of very little benefit, but it's beneficial in comparison. If you say, why can't I eat pig? Allah says, لِأَنَّهُ rijs, right? And rijs means najis. And so I can't eat pig because it's najis. If I can prove something else is najis, like for example, a dog, show me an ayat that says I can't eat a dog. Show me an ayat that says I can't eat a dog.
Compares a pig from.
Huh?
How they compare to pig?
It's not probably, it's for sure compared to pig, but how do we compare it to a pig?
Because it's najis.
Because we had to know the pig was najis, and then we had to do a whole bunch of work to figure out a dog is najis also. So the definition of najasa is beneficial for comparison, but it's not beneficial for just automatically identifying something, right? You can't know something is haram until you, anyway. Those are the three types of purification. The only thing that can get rid of najasa is water. This is the madhab, and this is what a lot of scholars say, that water is the only thing that can get rid of najasa. While other scholars say, and it's the stronger opinion in my belief, anything that gets rid of it, gets rid of it. So some scholars say the only thing that can get rid of najasa is water. That means if you have urine on your shoes or on your clothes, you have to do what? You have to wash it. And the only thing that gets rid of it is water. If you just scrape it off on the ground, did you clean it? For example, you walked and you stepped in dog feces. And then you continued to walk and you just scraped it on the ground until it all went away. Is your shoe clean? If you say something other than water can clean it, then yes. If you say only water can clean it, then no. You have to still wash your shoe.
Right.
Huh?
My opinion was not only water cleans it, but it's more about the
I think it's better, but some scholars say no, it's the right answer. Only water gets rid of it.
What about the hadith about the woman?
Huh?
The woman.
Well, that's why I think it's stronger, because the woman Salama, if I'm not mistaken, she asked the Prophet ﷺ that one of us, our tail of our dress, will walk through a land that has filth in it. What do we do? The Prophet ﷺ, he said it purifies it what comes after it. So if you walk through a dirty space and then walk through a clean space and the dirty thing drags on the clean thing, then it's clean now. But we can argue that. We can say, well, she said kadura. That doesn't mean najasa. She just said dirty. Like a dirty, filthy place. Like the bathroom, for example.
Why would he say after that?
I'm going to come to it.
Oh.
When you walk in the bathroom, is the bathroom najis?
most likely.
No. The bathroom is not najis. Going into the wudu area, is that
bathroom.
Any bathroom, right? Is the bathroom najis by default? No, the usl and everything is purification. It's pure. Unless you see najasa, unless you smell najasa, unless you taste najasa. The foundation is that it's clean. But everybody will tell you when you go into the wudu area to do what?
Put on your shoes.
Put on your shoes. It's nasty. It's
kinda
dirty.
Yeah.
It's kadura. It's not najis, it's just dirty, right? And then his statement, it cleans it what comes after it. Is that true?
That's not true.
For example, if akramakumullah, a woman, I don't know how, somebody gets their garment that's dragging on the ground urinated on. And then they walk and their garment is dragging on the ground. Is their garment clean now? Would you wear it?
No.
Why not?
How is it gonna get rid of it?
Huh?
How is it gonna get clean?
So would you wear it?
Wearing is a different story than
Why wouldn't you wear it?
I know
That's-
we got it, but
nobody-
Because you know,
it got najasa.
if you know it got it, then it's what?
But I'm not wearing it because he got najasa.
But you just said, why wouldn't you wear it?
Just because he peed on it, it feels nasty.
It-
Too much.
If
That's too much najis on it.
if she walked through a puddle of urine,
Walks through. Why is there a puddle of urine? First of all,
that's the hadith. Well, you said the hadith, she walked through a place where there's kadura. Why is there trash just laying on the floor? She walked through something that soiled the bottom of her
yeah,
overgarment.
but when somebody pees, it's gonna go on.
Take it, cow blood. Spilled blood. She was walking through a slaughterhouse.
Right. Yeah.
She walked through it. Now the bottom of her dress is soiled by. You've seen women when they walk and it's raining, the bottoms of their overgarments get dirty.
Right.
The Prophet said what? يُطَهِّرُهَا مَا بَعْدَهَا. But now it's soiled with blood.
Right.
And she walks and continues to walk home. And that blood dries on her garment and she's walked over other places of ground. Is that garment clean?
No, because
no
there's so
physical,
much
you can't
najasa
see
on
it.
there. You need to have more.
But you said the hadith said it cleans it what comes after it.
But that's just too much najasa.
Huh?
If you can't see it.
It's
And-
too much. You're gonna need more dirt. You're gonna need to put like.
No matter how much you roll that in the dirt, what's going to happen?
Blood's gonna be there.
It's still going to be there. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why they say, no, you got to have water. Because water is the only thing that would clean that out. Even though I understand what you're saying, and I might partially agree with you, which is whatever gets rid of it, gets rid of it. If walking on the ground got rid of it, it got rid of it. You see what I'm saying? But if it didn't get rid of it, then you got to use something else to get rid of it. The Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you comes to the masjid, then let him check his shoes. And if there's something on it, then let him scrape it on the ground. Is that good enough?
Why not?
It's only good enough if
Whatever gets rid of it.
it's good enough. Just because you scrape your shoe on the ground, does it mean that there's nothing else on it? If I scrape my shoe, I stepped in dog feces, and I wipe my foot on the ground once.
As long as you get rid of it.
There still might be dog feces on the ground. Because somebody say, I'll wipe my feet off, I'm good. No, your shoes are still dirty. That means you got to wash them off. But if you wiped it off and there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. And so the opinion that I lean to is whatever gets rid of it, gets rid of it. While there are strong opinions that only water can get rid of it. Because if you wash it off, what's going to happen? It's going to go away. While if you just scrape your tennis shoes on the ground, what's going to happen?
But how do you apply that using tissue?
It's just going to be smeared. And even if it gets it off, it's going to be in the grooves of your soul, right? That means what's there? Najasa. Can you pray in those shoes now?
But how do you apply the same thing using tissue and stones back in the day? Isn't it the same thing?
Well, we talked about istinja. We haven't talked about it in this class. But that's what we're talking about. Some people say istinja doesn't get you clean. It's only an allowance. That's why istinja, cleaning yourself how to use the toilet. Istinja, you can istinja, istijmar, they're interchangeable. But istijmar, wiping, doesn't get you clean. Some of them say it only is an allowance. Because what's the only thing that can get you clean? Water. And when you wipe, what do you still have in your backside? There's still some najasa left. But who has all of this water that they can just waste to wash themselves all the time? So wipe at least with 3 stones until it's clean, till the stone is clean, and that's good enough for you to pray. That's good enough for you to pray. What if you only use 2 stones? Nope, it's not good enough. You got to use 3. Because it's not a cleaning, it's an allowance. While other scholars say, no, it's a cleaning.
Did they have water back in their day?
But do you got water to waste like that? The Prophet ﷺ did not use water most of the time. He rarely used water. He used water less than he would use stones to clean himself.
Because they didn't have water back then.
And who wants to waste water like that?
You got water these days?
Huh?
So we got
You
water.
can say this, that we got water these
Okay, so use water. How you doing? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We got water these days, but the rules don't change because of the environment that you're in. Some people lived next to a river during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the point of it is that those are the 3 types of najasa, and the foundation in all of them is to use water. Can you use other than water or not? Mahalul khilaf, right? Whether it actually cleans or it's just an allowance. The last thing I want to say about purification in najasa specifically is that there's 2 types of najasa. Temporary najasa, which is najasa that gets onto something that's clean that you then wash away. And then you have permanent najasa. Najasa that no matter what you do, it's still najis. What's an example of temporary najasa? Urine? No.
On your clothes.
Urine on your clothes. You see what I'm saying? And not even urine like dog urine, human urine. Yeah. On your clothes are clean. Urine gets on it. What can I do? I can wash it off. What is an example of permanent najasa? Pig. Dog urine.
Urine itself.
That's non-physical najasa. That's why the Prophet said, al-mu'minu la yanjus. The mu'min doesn't become najis because that's the non-physical najasa. And he says, innamal mushrikuna najis. The non-physical najasa. Just like we have non-physical tahara, we have non-physical najasa. But the physical najasa, there's types that are permanent, that can't be cleaned. So no matter if you wash a pig 7 times, one of them with dirt, is the pig clean now? Can you take it as a pet? So, okay, 7 times, one of them with dirt.
It's najis.
Huh?
Itself is najis.
What if I take a dog's mouth and I wash it out 7 times, one of them with dirt?
Right.
Is his spit clean now? But that's how I clean a container that has dog spit in it.
That's perfect.
Isn't the mouth of a dog kind of like a container? And if I wash it out 7 times, one of them with dirt, it's the same thing as washing out the container 7 times, one of them with dirt? We say what?
Temporary.
No, because a dog is permanent najis. It can't be cleaned. Donkey, we'll talk about it. So, it's najis, but even dogs, there's conversations about them. Are they najis or not? There is one thing to consider though. Is there any way to clean something that is permanently najis? Be careful before you answer. Obviously, I'm trying to trick you.
Is there any way?
Clean.
Is there any way to clean something that is permanently najis?
If he goes to Istihala.
Huh?
If he goes through Istihala.
Mumtaz. If it changes and becomes something else. If something that is permanent najis changes into something else completely, that something else completely, is it the thing that it was or is it the thing that it is?
New thing.
It's the new thing.
But it's still got the parts of it, right?
It was made from that thing, but it's no longer that thing.
Okay.
Like, for example, an easy example is a dog dies in a salt field. If something dies in a salt field, what happens?
Decomposes in
Salt grows on that organism until it decomposes it. The salt that grew on that organism, what was it made from? Huh? It was made from dog. When it was a dog, it was what?
Najis.
When the dog turned into salt, what did it become? Salt. Is that salt najis?
No,
Why not?
still.
Because it's salt, and salt is not najis. Some scholars say no, you can't do istihala. It doesn't work. That salt is najis. If you know that salt came from a dog, throw that salt away. But the reality of it is that if it's salt, it's salt. It's not a dog anymore. And we see examples of that in the Sharia, potentially. Grapes are what? Grapes are what? We know they're fruit, but what's the ruling of them?
It's halal.
Halal, mubah, tahir. When you turn them into wine, they become what?
Haram.
Haram and maybe najis, right? You say maybe because there's ikhtilaf. But it's najis according to a large view of the scholars. If you let that alcohol sit for a long time until it loses its intoxication, what does it become?
Halal.
What does it become? What's the name of it?
Vinegar.
Vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
And what's the ruling on vinegar? Halal, tahir, tahir mubah.
Right.
Why is grapes halal, tahir, alcohol haram, najis,
Yeah.
vinegar halal, tahir?
It's down intoxicated.
Because it changed into something else. Are grapes wine?
No.
No. Is wine vinegar?
No.
Is vinegar grapes?
No.
It changed into something else. Just because it came from something doesn't mean, what did Allah create you from?
Dirt.
And are you dirt? And when you die, what will you turn into? You will turn into dirt. And what will grow out of that dirt?
Flowers.
Trees, grass, and flowers. And if I cut that grass, did I cut you? Real talk.
No.
No. The only thing that will be left of you is the tailbone of your body. And Allah will reconstruct you from that. But the things that grew out of you and grew because you aren't you anymore, because they are something else. So that's the conversation about tahara. All of that in this section is now going to talk about what? Tahara. Kitab al-tahara al-amal fil wudu. Bab al-amal fil wudu. What to do in wudu. Imam Malik has an approach. And we have to remember that, like, when did Imam Malik die? Take a crack at it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. What generation was he part of? From the Sahaba?
No.
When the last Sahabi died?
Like 90 or something?
110.
110.
There won't be anybody on the earth breathing 100 years from now. The hadith of the Prophet. And that was the last year of the Hijrah. The last year of his life, year 10. So 110 is when the last Sahabi died, Abu Tufayl. Was he from the Tabi'een?
No.
So if I know he wasn't from the Tabi'een, and the last Tabi'i died around 180. What generation was he from? Taba Tabi'een. But he was from the elders of them, meaning he was still alive when Sahaba were alive, he just didn't meet any.
No,
250.
No, 250,
180.
right around 180, 179. Imam Malik died 179. He was born 93, died 179. So, you have to remember that Imam Malik, who was the first person to write a book of hadith? We talked about it. The guy,
Az-Zuhri.
the Zuhri, the first one to write a book of hadith. He died 125. That means before Zuhri, nobody had written a book, like a real book to be given and studied from. That means Imam Malik is one of the first people to make chapters. Because when Az-Zuhri wrote his book, he didn't make chapters. He just put it all in the book. I write down everything I know. But Imam Malik is one of the first people to make chapters. For us nowadays, it seems like second nature. You make a chapter, right? But you have to remember that how many hadith did these people know? Hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, to organize their thoughts, to put a book together in order, and to mention the hadith in a sequence to where it's like you have to think about that when you're reading these books of hadith. Like Bukhari. I know 200,000 authentic hadith and 100,000 weak hadith. And then his book is so well organized, even more than a Muslim. His book is so cleverly organized to where all of these hadith, it's not like you had a computer to organize it and reshuffle and put it into categories. You did all that in your mind. And then these chapter titles, there's a sequence behind them and a science behind them. So a lot of times you might find that they might start the chapter titles talking about what first. If we're talking about Tahara, what might they talk about first? Water. And then they'll have the chapters on water, and then they'll go into what? Wudu. You see what I'm saying? Then ghusl, then tayammum, then period, then najasa, then period blood, then, right? Tayammum, right? All like that. Imam Malik has a different method that he's following. And knowing the method of the scholar as they are organizing their chapters helps you follow along. Instead of talking about the pillars of wudu or the conditions of wudu, like which one would you talk about? If you were writing a book, which one would you write first? You got to talk about wudu. What's the first thing you're going to tell me? Not water, the tahara. You're talking about wudu. What's the first thing you're going to tell me about wudu? Huh?
What is required before you do wudu?
The shurut. You might tell me what's required before you do wudu. Somebody might say, I'm going to tell you wudu is wajib. I'm going to tell you the ruling of wudu. Somebody might say, I'm going to tell you the virtues of wudu, so I can encourage you to do it. And you, by the time you finish reading this section, you're going to be so excited to make wudu. You see what I'm saying? So I might talk about the ruling first. I might talk about the virtues first. I might talk about the prerequisites first. Imam Malik does it a little different. The first thing he tells you is what? This is how you make it.
Yeah,
Al-amal, huh?
I like that too.
Of course, this is Imam Malik. It's not the other ones are wrong and this one is right, or the other ones are right and this one is wrong. It's just understanding the styles of how to do it, because it helps you organize your thoughts, because they're talking to you as if you're there. And sometimes they would change and rearrange their book. Like Imam Malik himself, 40 years, he's rearranging it. But this first chapter is al-amal fil wudu. How to make wudu. Don't worry about the ruling, right? Do you got to make wudu? Everybody knows you got to make wudu. I'm about to tell you the ruling. Don't worry about the encouragement. Look, make wudu. Don't worry about the pillars and the arkan and the wajibat and the sunan and the nawaqid. Worry about, first and foremost, this is what you have to do. The way you would teach your child. Because he's one of the first people to do it. And so it's like how you would teach a child. When you teach your child how to make wudu, is the first thing you say, okay, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that whoever makes wudu this way, then he goes into paradise and whatever of the 8 doors he wants. You might say, yeah, I want to teach my child like that. And that's fine if you want to do that. But we're talking about teaching a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old how to make wudu. Do you tell them that hadith? Or do you just say, hey, when you make wudu, you start off, you wash your hands. And then you wash your mouth, right? That's how Imam Malik is teaching it. He's starting off with what to do in wudu. Al-amal fil wudu. So it's a nice style. And this, like, understanding this, it'll help you in your life. That's why I love the Muwatta so much. Because it's a manual for you on how to raise your children, how to teach your family. This one hadith. You've had a master class with your family, your daughters, your sons, your wives. This is a master class. Just one hadith. And you don't have to have all of the details. This is exactly what the Salaf did, as we'll see in this hadith. Question, answer, done. You don't know how to make wudu according to the sunnah. Look at you. So, the chapter of the everybody else windows closed?
Car?
Yeah. Huh? No.
I'm surprised you left it.
It was hot.
Yeah, it was. He remember what it was on.
So, what to do during wudu? There are three things that Imam Malik is going to include or not include. There are three sections of this what to do in wudu. He's going to mention things that you have to do. What we call them arkan, shurut, wajibat, things that must be done in the wudu. So some of the things in this section are things that must be done. Some of the things in this section are things that are sunnah, or preferable to do. You don't have to do them, but they are recommended by Allah and His Messenger. You've been commanded to do them, but if you don't do them, there's no sin. And then you're going to find out there are things in this chapter that he doesn't mention. There are things that Imam Malik doesn't mention. The things that he doesn't mention, what do you think those things would be? So what I mean, like, you got things that he's going to tell you that you have to do, and things that he's going to tell you that you should do. The things that he doesn't mention, what category would they fall in? Things that you don't have to do. And so by understanding that, you'll notice that if he doesn't mention in this chapter or in a subsequent follow-up chapter that you should do it, it means his view is what? You don't have to do it. So we're paying attention. What things does he not mention? Because I was taught wudu and I was taught to do this, but Imam Malik didn't mention that. So that must mean that Imam Malik is saying what? I don't have to do that. And that's how you look at this chapter. Not everything he's going to mention is something you have to do. Not everything he's going to mention is something that you have to do. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. But he's not going to mention things. Will he not mention something you have to do? Will he not mention something that you have to do? You say no. Because if you had to do it, he would have had to mention it. So if he doesn't mention it, it must be something that you don't have to do. So let's see the first hadith. This first hadith is what they call aslun fil bab. I'm sorry, Mustafa, I ran out.
Are you talking about the book?
Yeah.
I could use what it.
No, of this.
Oh, okay.
Now, he can let you have it if he wants, because he's a hafiz, mashallah. He don't need this book. For sure. This is a book called Bulugh al-Maram min Ayat al-Ahkam. You heard of Bulugh al-Maram min Adillat al-Ahkam? That's where it deals with the hadith that you need to know to answer questions. This book is a companion book for that has the ayat that you need to know. There are about 500 ayat that are the rules in Islam. And there's about 900 to 1100 hadith that are the rules in Islam. If you know them, you know the foundation of the rules in Islam. And everything else is like extra. That's what this book covers. What's the proof in the Quran about giving a mahr? What's the proof in Islam that you have to pay a mahr? There's an ayat about it. لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة. Right? فنصف ما ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين وإذا طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة فنصف ما فرضتم. Right? So that ayat talks about the rules of paying the mahr. If you know that, you know the foundation of what goes into the mahr. What's the ayat that deal with jihad? What's the ayat that deal with dividing zakat? What's the ayat that deals with wudu? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum, right? And so this book is just all of the ayat that deals with rules. So, a person took my extra copy, and this copy is for the shit. I apologize, Mustafa. There's a
No,
PDF, huh?
It's not okay.
It's a PDF of it online, and I might have another copy at home, but I don't know. طيب. So, this hadith is a foundation in that topic. Just like there's ayat that are foundation in that topic. And the ayat, to be honest, is the foundation in this topic of wudu. Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayat 5, I think. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. That portion of the ayah is the foundation of how to make wudu. Then there are hadith that are foundations in wudu. And specifically, there's like 3, 4, 5 of them that are more important than others. The hadith of Uthman, the hadith of Ali, right? Ali has a great hadith in wudu. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd. The hadith of Afra or Binti Afra. She has a hadith in wudu as well. Those are like the foundations in wudu. And there's other hadith that add something here, take something out there, but those are like, if you know those hadith, you know the foundations of wudu. Imam Malik brings us just one. He brings us the hadith of Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini and Abihi and Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim, right? أن رجلا قال لعبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم وهو جد عمرو بن يحيى هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ؟ طيب, الإسناد. Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini. We've already talked about him. What hadith? ها؟ وقت الجمعة. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن عمرو بن يحيى بن المازني عن أبي الصليب أن عثمان رضي الله تعالى عنه صلى الجمعة بالمدينة وصلى العصر بملل. And then the next riwayah أن كنا نصلي جمعة مع عثمان فننصرف وما للجدار ذل. Right? So we've already talked about Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini, but we'll say Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini, Bani Mazin, is from the Ansar. فهو النجاري مازن بن نجار الخزرجي. I'm trying to think. His full name, and his full name is going to be important. Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hassan Tamim ibn Amr. Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hassan. And Abil Hassan was Tamim ibn Amr. His grandfather, Abu Hassan, was a Sahabi. His grandfather, Abu Hassan, Yahya, or his great-grandfather, Yahya, Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hassan, was a Sahabi. Amr ibn Yahya, thiqatun. He was extremely reliable mukthir. He used to narrate a lot of hadith. He was extremely reliable, used to narrate a lot of hadith. I'm trying to think of anything else on him. It's said, and this is going to be important, that his mother was the daughter of Amr ibn Zayd ibn Asim. But that is a mistake. Right? Why is that important? Because this hadith says that, and he was the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya. And so some people said that Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim was the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini. But that is a mistake. And so Abdullah ibn Zayd's daughter is not his mother. Because that's the only grandfather he could be, because his other grandfather is Umara. Like, Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini, we said that his family was from the freed slaves of the family of Uthman. Either Uthman's wife or one of Uthman's daughters. They are the ones who freed Amr ibn Yahya's family. So they're Qurayshi because of being freed by Quraysh. And he died in the year 130 or sometime after that. They say maybe 140. It's been mentioned 140 specifically. That is Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini. On his father, Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hasan al-Mazini. Not much is known about him. Thiqatun, he was reliable. All of the 6 books narrated his hadith. It's said that his wife was the daughter of Abdullah bin Zayd, but that's not correct. His wife was Hamida bint Muhammad. Or some of them say she was Ummi Nu'man ibn Hayya. Either way, she was not the daughter of Abdullah bin Zayd. Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hasan al-Mazini, thiqatun, from the 3rd generation, i.e. from the middle generation of Tabi'een. Right? So his son, Amr ibn Yahya, from Sigar al-Tabi'een, or from the Atba' al-Tabi'een, in the Sadisa. His father, Yahya ibn Umara, from the Tabi'een. His grandfather, Yahya's grandfather, Abil Hasan, from the Sahaba. طيب. That's who those 2 individuals are. In some of the narrations, we said that, well, let's talk about Abdullah bin Zayd ibn Asim, Abu Muhammad. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim al-Mazini. So they're from the same tribe. But Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim, he is a Sahabi who, there are 2 of them. That's how I want to start it. There's 2 of them. You ever heard of Abdullah bin Zayd? You ever heard of Abdullah bin Zayd? Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi is the Sahabi that narrates the dream about the Adhan. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi. He was also from the Ansar. He's the one who narrates the dream about the Adhan. I saw in a dream that a person, what are you doing? I'm looking for a Adhan, a way to announce the prayer. I'm thinking about taking a horn. I'm thinking about taking a bell. Why don't you say this? He woke up, told the Prophet. Umar came out dragging his thobe. I had the same dream months ago, right? That's Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi. Ansari Badri. He participated in Badr. And he was one of the people that gave the Prophet the pledge at Aqaba. Right? That's Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi. Only narrates a few hadith. He would have been the Prophet's mu'adhin if it wasn't for the fact that when he told the Prophet this dream, he was sick and had a problem with his throat. And so the Prophet told him to tell Bilal what to say. And like that, Bilal became the Prophet's mu'adhin. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbihi would have been the Prophet's mu'adhin if not for that. Qadr Allah ma shafa'a. طيب, that's him. As far as Abu Muhammad, Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim, then he is a Sahabi from the Ansar as well. But he did not participate in Badr. He did not participate in Badr. He missed Badr. He participated in Uhud and everything after it. His father, Zayd ibn Asim, was also a Sahabi. And his mother, Umara, was a Sahabiya, obviously. And he had a brother named Habib ibn Zayd ibn Asim, all Sahabi. Abdullah ibn Zayd and his mother both participated in Uhud. Even his mother was in the Battle of Uhud. And the Prophet ﷺ said about them, Rahmatullahi alaykum ahla bayt. May Allah have mercy on y'all family. Right? That's Abdullah ibn Zayd and his mother, Umara. His brother Habib was one of the people that was captured by Musaylama al-Kadhab. And Musaylama cut him to bits. He killed him by chopping him to bits. Wa'yadhu billah. When the Muslims fought against Musaylama, who killed Musaylama? Do you know?
The person, 2 people, right? He killed the best person and the worst. Wahshi.
Wahsh. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim. The way it goes is that Umara, his mother, says, I went out looking for Musaylama, because she was in the battle as well. I went out looking for Musaylama, and I found my son wiping the blood of Musaylama off his sword. Right? So his mother says, my son Abdullah killed Musaylama. Wahshi ibn Harb, he says, I threw the spear that killed Musaylama. And some people say that it was some guy from the Ansar who finished him off. But I asked one of the girls who was in the castle, one of the slave girls or the young women who was in the castle, what did him in? And she said, Wahshi did him in. So some people say Wahshi killed him. Some people say Abdullah bin Zayd killed him. Some people say that it was a participation. There's also a narration that Muawiyah had something to do with it, right? And so maybe all three of them got a blow in, and we don't know which blow finished him off. But that's a prestige in Islam to be the one who killed Musaylama al-Kadhdhab. And this person is from it. He's from those who narrated a lot of hadith on the Prophet. He used to narrate a lot. So you can tell the difference that if you see Abdullah bin Zayd, it's usually Ibn Asim, because he narrates more than the other one, Ibn Abdi Rabbi. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim, Abu Muhammad, Sahabi, his mother Sahabi, his father Sahabi, his brother Sahabi. He died on the day of Al-Harra. We talked about Yom Al-Harra before. Does anybody remember what it was? Huh?
The year of the ulama died?
La, that's Am al-Fuqaha. That's the year of the scholar. Yom al-Harra. That's the year when Yazid ibn Muawiyah had an army go into Medina, and it ended up killing a lot of Sahaba and Tabi'een. Yom al-Harra. It's a sad event in Islam, right? That was year 63 after the Hijrah. Yom al-Harra, right? Muawiyah, he died year 62. There was an upheaval after that. Yazid became the Khalifa, and people were revolting and rebelling. And from the things that Yazid did to try to squash the revolt is that he sent an army against Medina, and they pillaged and ransacked Medina and killed tons of people, right?
Non-combatants too?
Huh?
Non-combatants?
Everybody. They killed a lot of people, right?
Is that the one with the...
Yes, the one,
Oh.
Sa'id ibn Musayyib praying in the masjid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Yom al-Harra. So this Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim, is from the people that died during that event, which was in Dhul Hijjah, the end of Dhul Hijjah, year 63. Him and his two sons, Khalad and Ali, they both died alongside of him. That is Abdullah ibn Asim al-Mazini. Abdullah ibn Zayd al-Mazini. قال أبو موسى حدثنا مالك عن عمرو بن يحيى المازني عن أبيه. How do we know that this hadith makes you think that what? Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim is the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya. وهو أن رجلا سأل عبد الله بن زيد قال, because in another in Yahya ibn Yahya it's سأل. Yeah. أن رجلا قال لعبد الله بن زيد وهو جد عمرو بن يحيى. A man said to Abdullah ibn Zayd, and he is the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya. What does that mean to you?
That's his grandfather.
You sure?
Okay.
Okay, that's what led.
That's what it looks like.
That's what led people like Ibn Abdul Barr and other than them to make that mistake. And this is why hadith is so fun. Because when you put different things together, it starts to make more sense. And some of the versions of nobody disagreed. All of the people that narrated from Malik narrated this way. And he was Amr ibn Yahya's grandfather. But nobody else besides Malik narrates it that way. Nobody else besides Malik mentions that statement. Other people, however, they show us like Wahab ibn Munabbih and I think it's Sulaiman ibn Bilal, they narrate, they say, one of them says, and Yahya ibn Amr, and Yahya ibn Umara, and Amr ibn Abil Hassan, his uncle, anna ammahu kana kathir al-wudu. His uncle used to make a lot of wudu. Who was his uncle? Amr ibn Abil Hassan. And so he asked Abdullah ibn Zayd, can you show me, right? So who is the person in this narration who asked Abdullah ibn Zayd? It's the uncle of Yahya. So Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara. Umara has a brother named Amr. Amr is the one who asked Abdullah. In another narration, it says it clearly, Amr ibn Abil Hassan asked Abdullah ibn Zayd. Right? And then there's a mistaken narration where it says that Abil Hassan asked Abdullah ibn Zayd. That the Jed, the grandfather of Yahya, asked Abdullah ibn Zayd. So we have two narrations that says it was Amr's great uncle. One narration that's a mistake that says it was Amr's great grandfather. Yeah. And one narration that says that Abdullah ibn Zayd was Amr's grandfather. The thing we know for sure is that the person who asked, when we look at all the narrations, the person who asked Abdullah ibn Zayd was Amr's great uncle, his father's uncle. And the brother, or should I say the uncle, the Arabs used to call them their father. A person will call his uncle his father. Just like you would call your aunt your mother. It's a hadith. Al-Khalatu The auntie is a mother. And the uncle is the father. A man said to Abdullah ibn Zayd, and he was, who was he? The man who asked Abdullah ibn Zayd. That man was the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini. Why did they call him the grandfather? Because the uncle and the father are the same. So that's the reality of this meaning. Abdullah ibn Zayd is not Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini's grandfather. Alaykum salam to Allah. Instead, the person who asked Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Asim is Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini's grand uncle. You see what I'm saying? And so they called him the grandfather there, and that's the reality. So this isnad, and there's another isnad that just says it clearly like that. Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini on his father, on his uncle, Amr ibn Yahya, Amr ibn Abil Hassan, on Abdullah ibn Zayd. That's the isnad, right? That's the isnad. What's the isnad? Amr ibn Yahya on his father, on Amr ibn Abil Hassan. And I knew I was forgetting something. Who is, so by understanding this chain, we now know, is it a strong chain or a weak chain? The version that's in the Muwatta, right here, it says a man asked. We don't know that in this version, right?
Yeah.
That man, we would call him what? Unknown, mubham, not majhul, unknown, unidentified mubham. He has no identity. It's just a man. That unknown man would make the hadith what? Weak. In addition, was Yahya present for this event? Did he see this man ask Abdullah bin Zayd? We don't know. Because we don't know who this man is. We don't know if he was there or not. That would make the hadith weak. But because of the other narrations, we now know who the man is. And in some of the versions, Yahya ibn Umara, he says, I saw my uncle ask. So that's him showing us that he was there. So this chain is what? Connected with known people. One thing I forgot to do was get the biography of Amr ibn Abil Hassan. Yes, I forgot to get his biography. Because we got to know who he is now because he's in the isnad. What was Abu al-Hasan's name? Because now you got to look him up. But if you look up Abu al-Hasan, you might not find him. Tamim ibn Amr. طيب. The problem is does Amr ibn Tamim have a biography in any of the 6 books? Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan. Al-Isaba. عمرو ابن أبي الحسن الأنصاري تقدم ذكر أخيه عمارة ذكره أبو موسى and سعيد بن يعقوب أنه ذكره في الصحابة. So he was a Sahabi, so we don't need to worry about any of his, is he thiqa or not, right?
So he was a Sahabi?
That what was said by Sa'id ibn Yaqub said he was a Sahabi. This is in Al-Isaba fi Tamyiz al-Sahaba. And it's also been reported by Muhammad ibn Hilal al-Mazini on Amr ibn Yahya ibn Umara on his uncle, Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan, that he said, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam make wudu. You see what I'm saying? So that's that hadith. That's the hadith that he's famous for. Like if you look up Amr ibn Yahya, Abdullah ibn Zayd, he's famous for the hadith of the wudu. What's his name? Ibn Abdul Barr, he says about him, Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan al-Ansari, that Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan, he says, right, this is a conversation that I think we had, but I don't know if we had it. How do you know if somebody's a Sahabi?
What qualifies someone as Sahabi like that?
No, how do you, we know what makes a person a Sahabi, but if I just tell you somebody's name, how do you know he's a Sahabi or not? I tell you Muhammad ibn Zayd, was he a Sahabi or not? How do you know?
People at that time would mention.
There are 4 ways to identify a Sahabi. They're famous. Everybody knows he was a Sahabi, right? Like Abu Bakr. I don't need to have anybody prove to me Abu Bakr was a Sahabi. Everybody knows he was a Sahabi, right? He's famous. Everybody. Mu'adh. I know Mu'adh. Everybody knows Mu'adh, right? What's the second way you can tell somebody was a Sahabi?
Sahabi would mention that he's
A Sahabi says he was a Sahabi. Abu Bakr says, you'll find narrations like a Sahabi said, وَكَانَ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ الْبَدْرِ, right? Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari. And they say, وَكَانَ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ الْبَدْرِ, right? They mention that he was a Sahabi. What's another way you can tell he was a Sahabi?
He says.
They say about themselves they're a Sahabi, which is a tough one, but it's true. Like Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan, what did he say? He says, I saw the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That means he's a what? Sahabi, because he said, I saw the Prophet. And so since he said, I saw the Prophet, that means he's a Sahabi. And then the last way, what's the last way you could tell somebody's a Sahabi?
Where it comes in the narration? No.
It could be more so.
I heard.
The tabi'i that is thiqah says he was a Sahabi. I was told by somebody who was a companion to the Prophet for as long as Abu Hurairah was. That means that person is a what? I don't even know who that person is, right? But it's a hadith where the tabi'i says, I was told by somebody who was a companion of the Prophet for 4 years, the same amount of time as Abu Hurairah, right? And so that hadith is connected because it's a sahabi. So Amr ibn Abi al-Hasan, he said about himself, I saw the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that is where it's problematic. Why? Because the hadith that he's mentioned, he says, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam make wudu. Is that how that hadith goes? What's the hadith? Who narrated the hadith about the Prophet making wudu?
The person who saw it.
Who was the Sahabi? It's right there in front of
Right
you.
here, Abdullah bin Zayd.
Abdullah bin Zayd, who asked him, show me how.
Right.
Who's the person who asked him, can you show me how the Prophet made wudu?
The man.
Who's the man?
His uncle. The uncle.
What's his name? Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini. So in this narration, Amr ibn Yahya is saying, I saw the Prophet make wudu. No. Doesn't make sense. Because if you saw the Prophet make wudu, that obviously has to be a mistake from the narrator. Because what is the hadith? Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini asked Abdullah ibn Zayd, can you show me how the Prophet made wudu? You see what I'm saying? I don't think you're with me. You with me or no? We said you can recognize the Sahabi because what they say in the narration confirms their companionship. If somebody says, I saw the Prophet do it, that means that person is a Sahabi. But there's a problem. Not just because the person could be fibbing, but there's a problem because the narration could be a mistake. The hadith about wudu that has Amr ibn Abil Hassan in it, who is the Sahabi in that hadith? Abdullah bin Zayd. So if somebody narrates to us a hadith that says Amr ibn Abil Hassan said, I saw the Prophet, we would say what?
Mistake.
That's a mistake. Because he didn't see the Prophet. He asked Abdullah bin Zayd.
Right.
If he saw the Prophet, would he ask Abdullah bin Zayd? No, he would narrate the hadith, I saw the Prophet. So if this is the proof that he is a Sahabi, then this narration is what? It's weak. Plus, it's not mentioned in any of the popular books. It's only mentioned by Sa'id ibn Yaqub. So this must be that Sa'id ibn Yaqub has a mistaken narration. And that's the science of hadith. We have looked at it and found that even though some people mention he's a Sahabi, we would say, nah, you know what? He's probably not a Sahabi. Like, so now that we've gone backwards and said he's not a Sahabi now, what's the ruling of this hadith?
It's disconnected. What is it?
It's not, no, it's connected. This hadith is still connected because but now we have the question, what's the quality of Amr ibn Abil Hassan? He's narrating on Abdullah bin Zayd. That's the correct narration.
Right.
So we know that he's narrating on Abdullah bin Zayd, but what's his quality? Because we can't find him in any of the books, a biography of him. So what's his quality?
Weak.
Why would he be weak?
Yeah, no.
Just because we don't know that much about him, what do we do know about him?
A mistake?
Some people, no, he didn't make a mistake.
Right.
Some people thought he was a Sahabi. The fact that some people thought he was a Sahabi is enough. You see what I'm saying? And so you'll see this at times. There might be somebody who they disagree if he was a Sahabi or not, and they won't be anything else in his biography. They'll say, اختلف في صحبته. They disagree about him being a Sahabi, but they won't mention who talked good about him, who talked bad about him. The default of that person is what? Thiqah, not a Sahabi. Thiqah, he's reliable. Because to be confused with the Sahabi is a sign of prestige, and he must be righteous and reliable. Right? The Sahaba we know for sure. Everybody else we need confirmation. But a form of confirmation that they're good is, some people thought he was a Sahabi. Right? And so that's an important thing to come across, because when you look for this person's biography, they don't mention him. But he has hadith that he narrates, and so you have to know what is his quality. Ibn al-Athir, he says maybe Amr ibn Yahya saw part of the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. As a child, he might have saw some of it, and then when he asked Abdullah bin Zayd, can you show me how? Because I didn't get it all. That's one way they try to, but that's the whole point. Like, we don't know for sure if he was a Sahabi or not. Some people consider him a Sahabi, but you won't find any major biography about him. But the fact that he was counted in that rank, that means that this isnad is authentic. And this is a helpful sign, because it shows you how Imam Malik's hadith are, right, as opposed to what we might look at how a chain should work. Right? Imam Malik is narrating the hadith with a person who's unnamed in it, right? And this person who is unnamed, there's no real biography about him. But Imam Malik knew about him, because he's only one rung above Imam Malik, if not two. You see what I'm saying? So this hadith is authentic. And it's also narrated by other individuals besides Malik. And so this hadith is authentic. And like this, why do I mention all of that? Because this is how the science of hadith works. So when you hear people talking about the science of hadith amongst the Muslims doesn't meet the intellectual or the academic standard of modern historical record keeping, we say, no, that's false. When we take all of this information and put it together, we have all of these details about what's going on. Our science is greater than their science. It's more detailed, it's more accurate. And if something is weak, we get rid of it. But when we look and put all of this stuff together, we see the validity of this narration to where it benefits knowledge. And this is an usuli issue. Does a hadith benefit knowledge? Like the Quran, what's in the Quran, you what? You know for sure. You might not understand it correctly, but you know for sure that's what Allah said, right? That's what they call it benefits knowledge. You know for sure this is what Allah said. As far as what is meant, you can know for sure or you can be in doubt. You can be unsure, is this what Allah meant? But as far as this what Allah said, you know for sure. Hadith, do they benefit knowledge? Do you know for sure this is what the Prophet said?
Not always.
So hadith don't benefit knowledge? This is a big issue. The majority of the people of usul, they say hadith don't benefit knowledge. They are only speculative. A hadith can be authentic and the Prophet never said it. And a hadith could be weak and the Prophet said it. Because what are we talking about? We're just talking about how it seems to us. We look at a hadith and I look at it and I think it's authentic based on what I see. But it could be weak. Abu Hurairah could have forgotten. Imam Malik could have made a mistake. Sufyan ibn Uyayna makes a mistake in this hadith. So now that we know that it's possible people can make mistakes, I can't say 100% sure the Prophet said this, generally speaking. So I'll say it's most likely the Prophet said this, and I have to worship Allah based on what's most likely. But they say hadith don't benefit knowledge. Other people say only certain hadith benefit knowledge. Right? Like a hadith that has mutawatir. That benefits knowledge. It's undoubted that the Prophet said it. Whoever lies on me on purpose, then let him take his place in the hellfire. That's undoubted the Prophet said that. Right? Something that the ummah has all agreed that it's authentic. Right? They say that it has other things that raise it to the level of certainty. While there's another opinion, and this is the one I lean to, even though the second opinion, you'll find even a lot of people of like the Sunnah and the Salaf on the second opinion. The opinion that I lean to is that hadith that are authentic benefit knowledge. Because they don't become authentic until they go through this rigorous verification process. And when they go through that process, the result is that what? We know for sure the Prophet said it. So is it possible Abu Hurairah makes a mistake? I can give you an example of Ibn Umar making a mistake. I can give you an example of that. And the hadith would be authentic. The chain is authentic. But everybody knows that Ibn Umar made a mistake there. So that hadith, we would say what? Even though the chain is authentic, that's not authentic information. As opposed to when we give you a hadith that is authentic, chain and meaning from Ibn Umar, and that's knowledge. I know for sure the Prophet said that. And we see that the Sahaba treated knowledge this way. When the Qibla got changed, how many people went to Quba to tell them that the Qibla changed? One. And what did the people that were at Quba do when that person told them the Qibla changed? They turned around in Salat. They didn't look and try to verify this information, how many people, even though before that, praying to Masjid al-Aqsa was known by what? By certainty. Every Muslim knew you had to pray towards Masjid al-Aqsa. That's why they were praying that way. And then one guy comes and tells them, hey, I just prayed with the Prophet. We prayed towards Mecca. And they all did what? And so that shows you that the hadith benefits knowledge. Because you need to, how can I go against the Islam for the information of one person? Unless that person's information is what? Certain knowledge. And so that's a big usuli issue. And the science of hadith does those things. And so when somebody tries to say that, our academic level, I believe what the hadith say, but they don't meet the standard of academia. So as a preacher, I believe, but as an academic, I'm questionable. This is ridiculousness. As an academic, I know for sure that this hadith is authentic when it goes through this systematic criticism in hadith. And so it benefits me belief, which is just I have to trust, but it also benefits me knowledge. And so authentic hadith benefit knowledge. But there's details in that as well. Anyway, so we know the isnad now. Any questions about the isnad? If I ask you, Fadl, what's this isnad again? Tell me the people in this isnad.
قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن عمرو بن يحيى.
Amr ibn Yahya.
عن أبيه.
Who's his father? Amr ibn Yahya. Who's his father? Amr ibn Yahya. Who's his father? Yahya. Yahya ibn Umara ibn Abil Hasan.
عن عمي.
On his uncle. His uncle is that man. Who is his uncle?
Can't remember his name.
Amr.
Amr.
Yeah.
Amr.
Ibn Abil Hasan.
Hassan.
On
Zayd. Abdullah bin Zayd.
Abdullah bin Zayd. Who was the grandfather of Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini?
It wasn't him. It wasn't Abdullah bin Zayd.
It wasn't Abdullah bin Zayd. Who was it?
Forgot the name.
It was Amr
Amr.
ibn Abil Hasan, his grand uncle. Because the grand uncle is a
I need a
grand
board for this.
father.
Man. This is.
Where you pen and your paper? Like, now that we know the isnad, from my man, I don't think we're gonna finish what we got. Like, we'll do a little bit of the hadith. We'll try to see how far we can get in that. هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ؟ قال عبد الله بن زيد نعم، فدعا بوضوء فأفرغ على يده اليمنى فغسل يده مرتين. Amr ibn Abil Hasan al-Mazini, the grand uncle of Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini, asked Abdullah ibn Zayd, can you show me how the Prophet ﷺ made wudu? What kind of question is this? Is this respectful or disrespectful?
It's respectful.
It's respectful?
I think so.
Respectful?
Yeah.
Historically, it's respectful. هل تستطيع? Right? While some people might say modern days, it's disrespectful. Can you do this? Can you narrate the hadith of the Prophet? It's as if I'm challenging you. But we understand that from their bi'ah, from their environment, that this was a respectful question. I don't want to put you in no hardship. I know maybe you got old, maybe you remember. If you got time, if you don't mind, if you could, can you show me how the Prophet did it? And so it shows us etiquette with your teacher. And how etiquette with your teacher can vary from time to time, from person to person, from place to place. Because if somebody says nowadays, can you narrate the hadith of Abu Bakr? You might find that as what? Disrespectful. What do you mean, can I narrate the hadith? Of course I can narrate the hadith of Abu Bakr. It's the first hadith I learned. What do you think you is challenging me? But that's not what his intent was here. His intent was, Yashia, if you don't mind, if you would, if you could, right? If you please, can you show me how the Prophet ﷺ made wudu? And to understand that, you don't demand from your teacher, you request. One of the things that I remember getting early on is that when you're in class and your teacher says something that you disagree with, how do you communicate your disagreement with your teacher? Like, for example, I'll go with Fadl today. What's something we disagreed about? You said in class that the end of Dhuhr is the beginning of Asr, and you can pray both of them at the same time. Anything wrong with that? Yeah, Ustad, you said in class. Anything wrong with that?
It doesn't seem respectful.
It doesn't seem respectful. Why not?
Did you say in class?
I said it. And so at the end of class, it's question and answer time. One of the students says, "Ya Ustad, ya Sheikh, ya so and so. You said that such and such and such and such. But what about such and such and such and such?" Right? You have a question. You just ask a question. Sheikh, you said this earlier, but what about this? Anything wrong with that?
You're doubting his knowledge.
Yeah, it comes off as combative. So how do you ask that question? You still want to know the answer.
Yeah.
We said in class.
Yeah, Ustad, we said in class. I'm with you, Sheikh. But what about these guys over here who said this? These guys over here saying all this crazy stuff about it's not the case, they disagree with you. We said in class, this is the answer. So how do I defend you, Sheikh? Right? I think the Sheikh is wrong. But I don't say, yeah, Sheikh, you said this, but that doesn't seem correct. Yeah, Sheikh, we said this, but what about this? Just small etiquette about how you communicate with your team. And this is something that you can't learn it all in one day, but by reading how the Salaf communicated, you'll pick it up here and there. And that's what the books of Talab al-Ilm are full of. Books like Kitab al-Ilm by Ibn Abi Khaythama, books like Fadl al-Ilm wa Ahlihi, or Bayan al-Ilm wa Ahlihi, li Ibn Abdul Barr, Adab al-Rawi wa Sami' li Khatib al-Baghdadi. That's what those books contain, like how to do little subtle things in your seeking of knowledge, right? So he said, "Hal tastati," if you could, right? Not can you, but if you could.
So this was considered
Respectful.
This was considered respectful.
Yeah, because he's saying, if you could. I can't demand this of you. Oh, I'm a little kid and you the Sheikh. But if you don't mind, could you show me how the Prophet made wudu?
It reminds me of when they said to Isa alayhi salam, "Hal tastati'u rabbuka an yunzila alayna ma'idatan min as-sama'?"
Well, is that the same one or is that the other one? Was that one? Because what did Isa say to them?
He said it was like something bad. He said,
"Afalam tu'min?" Isn't that what he says?
"Yeah." He said,
أولم تؤمنوا قالوا بلى ولكن ليطمئن. No, that's Ibrahim. Is it هل يستطيع ربك, right? هل يستطيع وإذ قال الحواريون يا عيسى ابن مريم هل يستطيع ربك أن ينزل علينا مائدة من السماء قال اتقوا الله إن كنتم مؤمنين. Because that's challenging. What do you mean, can my Lord do it? Of course my Lord can do it. Y'all asking these type of questions. Well, why y'all need an ayah? Am I not enough? Is what I've already done not sufficient? Why do y'all need more ayah, right? And that's why they said, نُرِيدُ أَن نَأْكُلَ مِنْهَا. We just want to eat from it. You know, we want to, like Ibrahim. أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. And that, what's that ayat? It's an ayat referencing a hadith where they asked the Prophet ﷺ to do something, and he said, if you want, I'll do it, but then whoever doesn't believe after that, the hellfire. And he said, no. I'd rather them have a chance to make Tawbah later than to put it like a cutoff. I'm going to give you this ayat.
What are you going to make? The mountain of gold or something?
Something like that. مَا لِهَذَا الرَّسُولِ يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق. I think it might have been that ayat. It might have been the ayat in Surah Al-Furqan. But I forgot the tafsir, what ayat it was referring to in the hadith specifically. But the point of it is that, so sometimes it could be disrespectful. But in this circumstance, we don't look at it. It's not, can your Lord, can you show me how to do it? It's, if you could show me how to do it, right? If you could, if you don't mind. هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ? Other benefit, etiquette, talib ilm. I don't care about everybody else. I don't care about how Abu Bakr made wudu. I don't care about how Abdullah bin Abbas made wudu. You were there, you saw the Prophet. Can you show me how the Prophet made wudu? And it's not to diminish Abu Bakr, but Salafuna, Sahaba, and I do care about how they made wudu. But it's that mind state. I don't care about how Uthaymeen made wudu. Can you show me how the Prophet made wudu? That's the foundation. I want to know the evidence, how the Prophet made wudu. And this supports the view of the people who say it's not permissible to blind follow. There are some scholars who say that blind following is haram. Other scholars say no, blind following is allowable in necessity. If you don't know, you can ask somebody who does, and you don't need their proof, right? And you can do what they tell you. You don't know a question, you ask the sheikh gives you an answer with no proof. It's permissible for you to worship Allah that way. Even though we said the foundation is that when you worship Allah, you need a what?
Proof.
A proof. They say blind following is permissible with necessity. You can act without proof. Other scholars say, no, blind following is haram. The scholars who say you can blind follow without proof, they say, because if I give you the proof, you wouldn't understand it. If a person won't understand the proof or doesn't have access to the proof, what difference does it make to give them the proof? Is a talaq a khula'? I mean, is a khula' a talaq or not? Your wife asked for a khula'. You got 2 talaq. You give her the khula', and now you guys want to get back together. Can you get back together or not?
Yes.
A talaqu marratan, right? And then you either got to keep her after that or let her go after that. So, after 3 talaqs, you can't take her back. The question is a khula' a talaq? If I give you the proof, you probably still won't understand it, right? Ibn Abbas says, Allah says, الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخاف أن لا يقيم حدود الله فإن خفتم أن لا تقيم حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به وتلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها كذلك يبين الله آياته
ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك
هم الظالمون
فإن
وَإِن
طلقها
طَلَّقَهَا. That's the proof. You understand the proof now?
So this doesn't count.
What's the proof?
Because it says if you do divorce her, so
You have to do talaq.
It's not divorce. It wasn't divorce.
Khula.
Huh?
Doesn't count as khula then.
Why not?
Because you just said it. Talaqaha.
وَإِن طَلَّقَهَا فَلَا يَحِلُّ. Yeah, if he divorces her 3 times, then she's not permissible for him. حتى تنكح زوجا غيره.
Exactly. He.
Yeah, so he divorced her 3 times, and the khula was one of them.
But khula was from her requested.
She requested the khula. So, you're right? Ibn Abbas says he divorced her twice. Then the ayat says she got a khula. Then the ayat says he divorced her after that. So that's 3 divorces in a khula. That means the khula is not a divorce. Because the ayat says at-talaqu marratan, then you got to keep her or let her go. And you can't take the money unless you fear it, but you kept her. And now she gets a khula. Now she got the khula. Then you take her back again, even though that's not clear in the ayat. That's why the issue is debatable. The point of it is that some people, you give them the ayat, they don't understand it. I don't understand how that's a proof. It doesn't make sense to me. Giving you the evidence doesn't help you. Another example of how somebody is blind following. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الخراج بالضمان. You understand the proof? Then you're a blind follower. Because you don't understand Arabic. I can give you the proof all day. It don't make a difference. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why some people say a person who doesn't speak Arabic is a blind follower, regardless of the situation. Because you don't know the proof. That shows you the importance. So that's, some scholars say blind following is permissible with necessity. Other scholars say no. We can't ever blind follow. Well, the Salaf, they used to blind follow. No, they didn't. When they would ask a question, what would they ask for?
Knowledge.
They would ask for the question with the proof. هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ? I can ask the question, I can ask the proof. And so if you don't know something, you can ask a question, but you have to ask for it with the proof. And so, people like Shawkani and other like al-Ma'sumi and things like that, they used to say.
Abu Hanifa say that it's haram for somebody to follow me without them knowing the proof.
Yeah, Abu Hanifa.
Yeah.
All right.
But they do that though.
They do it to everybody.
Oh yeah, everybody.
And so this hadith supports that view of, no, you got to ask for the proof when you ask a question. You can't just say, Sheikh, what's the ruling of praying like this? Yeah, Sheikh, what did the Prophet ﷺ say about praying like this? Right? Anyway, هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ? Learning how to make wudu. This individual, Amr ibn Abi Hassan, his nephew Yahya said, "Kana yukthiru al-wudu." He used to make a lot of wudu. No, Amr, yes, Amr ibn Abi Hassan. His nephew Yahya, the narrator, Amr ibn Yahya's father, said that Ammi kana yukthiru al-wudu. My uncle used to make a lot of wudu.
Right.
And so this is what spurred him to ask how the Prophet does it. I'm always making wudu, right? Why is he always making wudu?
Why? Because he's doing this.
Because he touched his armpits?
Because he wants to get the ajr
What ajr?
of wudu.
Is there ajr in making wudu when you don't have to make wudu?
Is he doing it for that reason, or is
Well, so why is he making wudu all the time?
People ask him to show
he
him
making salah?
how Rasulullah sallallahu made wudu.
But if you got wudu, do you make another wudu?
If you already
People are asking him, but that's kind of, I mean, maybe, but we talked about the hadith yesterday. لا يداوم على الوضوء إلا مؤمن. Or لا يداوم على الطهارة إلا مؤمن.
Right.
Nobody stays in a state of purification except a believer. So it's preferable for the believer every time he breaks his tahara to do what?
to redo his wudu.
To make the wudu immediately after that. Is it necessary?
No.
I don't got to make wudu. Was I commanded to make wudu from other than making salat?
Right.
But a believer, so I'm constantly making wudu. And because this is my nature, I'm somebody who's constantly making wudu. What do I need to know?
The evidence.
I need to know how to do it right. هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ? I'm always making wudu. I find myself always having to make wudu. Can you show me how to do it the right way? Shows us what kind of knowledge should you be getting. The priority information in your life. Things that you are doing, things that you need, this is the knowledge that you should be seeking.
Right.
Should I be worried about right now the rulings on how to build a masjid? Because I'm not in a position to build a masjid.
Right.
But should I be learning about right now the rules on how to be a husband?
If you're married, yeah.
Because I'm married, I need to know how to be a husband. I need to know how to raise kids. These are things that I'm doing all the time, right? So I need to know those rules, and this hadith gives us an example of that. هل تستطيع أن تريني كيف كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ؟ قال نعم. The teacher said, yes, I can show you. Good etiquette of the teacher, a good style of teaching. Teach by example more than just statement. Because what did Abdullah bin Zayd do?
He brought the wudu.
فَدَعَا بِوَضُوء. He requested some wudu be brought. And wudu with a fatha is the water that is used for making wudu. Wudu with a dhamma is the action of making wudu. So he said, da'a bi wudu. He requested that some water for wudu be brought. And in another narration it says, fi tastin min sifr, and a container made out of brass. Which shows us we can make wudu from containers made out of brass, made out of copper. Right? Some people don't like it because copper, what does it do when water gets in it?
Rust.
It changes. It gets that patina. It turns green. And they think that now it's dirty and nasty and no good. No, you can make wudu from brass and copper and earthenware as long as it's not what? Gold or silver. I can use brass, even though brass can look like what? Gold. Right? You get brass fixtures at your house or gold fixtures at your house. They kind of look alike. But you can use brass, it's no problem. Even though it's expensive and it looks nice, you can use expensive. في طست من صفر فأفرغ على يده اليمنى. The version in Abi Mus'ab, it says فأفرغ على يده اليمنى. He poured water on his right hand. Right, he took the container and poured the water on his right hand. In other versions, it says فأفرغ على يديه. He poured water on both his hands. Right, pour water. فغسل يده مرتين. In some of the versions it says فغسل يديه مرتين. He washed his hand twice. His hand means both his hands. Because we talked about before, when you have a singular word in a possessive phrase, it means plurality, right? Ismullah, it means Asma'ullah. Yadahu, it means Aydiyahu. So he washed both of his, and the other narration says it clearly. He washed both of his hands twice. He washed this hand twice. He washed that hand twice. This is a sunnah before wudu, and is not part of the wudu. So this falls into that category of things you should do. Imam Malik is telling us things you should do. Washing your hands before you make wudu. It's not necessary, but it's the sunnah. Before you put your hand into the container, you should wash it twice, 3 times, like the hadith of Uthman. And in some versions of this hadith, فَغَسَلَ يَدَيْهِ ثَلَاثًا, in some of the versions. And that also shows us that these different versions, people are narrating by memory. There's slight discrepancies. Does that alter the hadith? Some people said he washed his hand 3 times. In the same hadith, the same person says that Abdullah bin Zayd said he washed it 3 times. Some of them says he washed it twice. Does that change the hadith? We say, yeah, it changes the number, but it doesn't change the meaning. Washing the hands is the sunnah. And as far as how many times, then we can debate about that. But this hadith is still authentic. Just because somebody said 2, somebody said 3, we'll look and see who was more right. And if we can't figure out who was more right, then we'll just say wash your hands, because that's the amount that they agreed upon. And this in hadith is called ittirab, instability. Sometimes the instability of a narration. What we mean by instability? One narration, some people say it this way, some people say it that way, but it's the same event. And it couldn't have been both things. Right? This hadith, he says he washed his hand twice. The same hadith, but from a different narrator, says he washed his hand 3 times. Could he have done both of them?
Yeah.
Huh?
Someone came late maybe?
Those are ways we can solve the instability.
Right, but you can't do both.
But the instability is in the fact that it's either 2 or 3.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And you have to know these type of things, because you'll find people who like to argue about religion. They want to argue, and they want to argue about the Bible, for example. And they say, well, in this passage in John, it says that he fed 90 people. And in this passage in John, it says he fed 70 people. That shows that the Bible isn't authentic, because there's instability in it. And that's true to an extent. And there's even better ways to prove that the Bible isn't authentic. But then they'll come back at you. Well, your hadith says he washed his hand 2 times. And this same hadith from the same person says he washed his hand 3 times. Your hadith isn't authentic. You got to know these things. There's ittirab. Instability can be effective or non-effective. Meaning something can be unstable, but it doesn't cause any harm. And something can be unstable that gets rid of the authenticity of the narration. If I say a hadith, hadathani, oh, this is going to be a bad example. I was going to use Bashir, but Bashir is Bashir, so it wouldn't change the thing. If I mention a hadith that Bashir ibn Muhammad narrated to me, and another person mentions the hadith Muhammad ibn Bashir narrated to me, but we know it's the same person, it's just one of us got it wrong. And we know who the person is. That's instability. But we know the right answer. Doesn't cause any problems. Doesn't mean anything. We know there was instability, but this instability, we know the right answer. Was it Amr or was it Umar? We know why there was instability. The words look the same, right? They sound the same. Amr, Umar. He just said Amr, Abdullah, Ubaydullah. That's instability, but it's the same thing. Sometimes instability can be ineffective, meaning we don't know which one is the right one, but it doesn't change the point of the hadith. Wash 2 times, wash 3 times. But the point of the hadith is to what? Wash. We know you wash. Wash 2 times, wash 3 times, we don't know. Whatever, wash. But we know the Prophet washed his hands before making wudu. So I can say effectively, washing your hands before making wudu is the what?
Required.
It's the sunnah. Not required, it's the sunnah, right? The Prophet did it. Well, did he do it 2 or 3 times? That don't matter. That doesn't change the fact that he did it. And so whether this person came late, or whether this person had a mistake in his memory, or maybe this person didn't see him do it twice, but no, it's the same person. Well, maybe he said it 3 times, and if you do it 2 times, if you do it 3 times, then you did it 2 times, right? If I got $100, I got $99, right? All of those things could be possible, but it doesn't matter, because that doesn't affect this hadith, because it doesn't change the meaning of what we're trying to establish. While at other times, the instability can remove the validity of the hadith. If it's something that changes the meaning and we don't know which one is right, then that instability can remove the validity of the hadith. And so here, this version, 2 times, 3 times, it doesn't matter, right? He says, فَأَفْرَغَ عَلَى يَدِهِ الْيُمْنَى. Shows us that we start off with our right. فَغَسِلَ يَدَهُ مَرَّتَيْن. And in the riwayah, فَغَسِلَ يَدَيْهِ مَرَّتَيْن. ثُمَّ مَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْشَقَ. Then he did madmada before that, washing the hands, we said is a sunnah, but some of them make it wajib when you wake up from sleep at night. A sleep that negates your wudu. If you go to sleep at night long enough to negate your wudu, and then you wake up, washing your hands becomes wajib before you put it into the container. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا نَامَ أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيَغْسِلْ يَدَهُ 3 مرات قبل أن يدخله في الإناء فإن أحدكم لا يدري أين باتت يده. When one of you goes to sleep, then let him wash his hands 3 times before putting it into the container, because one of you doesn't know where his hand spent the night. So they say if you go to sleep at night, a sleep that's long enough to negate your wudu, then you have to wash it 3 times before you put it into the container. And now you see why this issue about 2 times becomes an issue, because here the Prophet just did it twice. We say no problem, because he didn't. It's not about waking up after sleep, right? He just washed his hand 2 times, and maybe at another example when it wasn't waking up after sleep. While after sleep, if you want to say it's wajib, you can still say it's wajib. So that's wash, and there's going to be other hadith that we'll talk about that in more detail. فَمَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْشَقَ 3. And then he did madmada. Like, what is madmada? I bet y'all all think y'all know. What is madmada?
Gargle.
Gargle? What's gargle? I don't understand. That's swish. Is that gargle?
Swish. Swish.
That's gargle.
Swish.
So madmada, is it swishing or gargling?
Oh, swish.
It's both? So if you don't gargle, you didn't make wudu?
So it's like that, and then gargle.
Madmada.
Did I make madmada or not?
Once you spit out, yeah.
No, let's do it again. Did I make madmada?
No.
Why not?
You have to swish and then spit it out.
That's an issue. Do you have to spit out? Madmada is idkhal al-ma' al-fam wa tahrikuhu. To put water into the mouth and to swish it around. So if I just do this,
No.
it's not madmada. If I just do this,
It's not madmada.
it's not madmada. I just swish it around.
Yeah.
Some people say madmada is to enter water into the mouth and move it around. While other people say, no, it's necessary for madmada that you also have to spit it out. And if you don't spit it out, it is not madmada. Not a big deal, but it's a practical deal. You're not a truck driver, are you? You've been in a truck, but you've never been on the road in a truck. Have you ever had to make wudu in the truck? And it's cold outside. And I don't want to go and open my door. It's raining outside. And I don't want to open my door and get my whole inside of my truck wet so I can spit out, even roll my window down. So I'm in my truck. I put a little bag of plastic on the ground. And I use a little bit of water because I know how to make a baby wudu without wasting a lot of water. I put the water in my mouth, but now I squish it. What do? Can I just swallow it because I don't want to spit it out on the floor of my truck? Or do I gotta spit it out? Some scholars say no, for madmada you have to spit it out. While others say no, swishing it around, even if you swallow it after that, is sufficient.
Wow.
All right? And so that's important to know. You have to know what madmada is. Like, putting your finger in your mouth and moving it on your teeth, is that madmada?
No.
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 But some people say you should do it, right? Because the Prophet said, "Lola ashqa ala ummati." If it wasn't for the fact that I make things hard on my ummah, I would have did what? I would have commanded them with siwak, ma'a kulli wudu, inda kulli wudu, right? Fi kulli wudu. Ma'a kulli wudu. While you're making wudu, do siwak. Inda kulli wudu, before you make wudu, use siwak. طيب, if you say do it while you're making wudu, when do you use the siwak while you're making wudu?
After you spit it out, then you kind of.
No, while it's there. While you're doing madmada. When you brush your teeth, what's your mouth full of? Liquid. You see what I'm saying? And so use the siwak while you're brushing your teeth. It's a sunnah. طيب. فمضمضة واستنشق. In some of the narrations, it says فَمَضْمَضَ or تَمَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْثَرَ. In some of the narrations of the same hadith.
So you don't have to gargle. It's not part of it.
Gargling.
Gargling.
بالغ بالمضمضة والاستنشاق ما لم تكن صائم. Be extra in your مضمضة and istinshaq as long as you're not fasting.
So that's just being extra then.
That's the being extra. Gargle. Get it up. Make sure you get it all in your mouth by getting it to your throat. How do I know I got my whole mouth?
By gargle.
By the fact that it gets down to my throat. But if I'm fasting and I put something in my throat, what did I just do?
Break your fast.
I just broke my fast. So gargle, as long as you're not fasting. Put it in your nose. Well, we'll talk about that. Istinshaq, put it in your nose, but how far up your nose do you have to get it? You ever been swimming and you get that water that gets past your nose into your throat, behind your eye, you feel it?
Burns.
All right. Get it up there. As long as you're not fasting. Because if you get it up there high while you're fasting, you broke your fast because you entered something inside of you from the orifice of your nose. So the getting it to your throat via your nose or via your mouth is the extra in madmada, in istinshaq. But the haraka is the necessity.
If you're not fasting and you don't do it, do you have the hard? Is it?
Did you do madmada? Did you put it in your mouth, swish it around, and spit it out?
Yes.
Okay, so that's madmada. That's why we got a definition of what madmada is. Put water in your mouth, swish it around, spit it out.
Right.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Nasal spray. Breaks your fast? The allergy?
Ikhtilaf, I lean to no.
You need to know, okay.
But ikhtilaf, is it nourishment? Is it not nourishment? Does it get inside? Does it not get inside? Is it really eating or drinking, or is it not eating and drinking? Does it have a jism? Does it actually have a substance, or is it just air and mist? Like if I smell bukhor, did that break my fast? Does it get into my cavity, or does it stop in my nostril? It's a lot of ikhtilaf about those type of things. If you look online, you'll find the fatwa who says what about it. You know what I mean? I lean to no, because my position is simple. If it's not eating, it's not drinking, it don't seem like eating and drinking, it doesn't break your fast. If I put some nasal spray in my mouth, would anybody say, Abdul Hakim, why are you eating that nasal spray? If I put nasal spray in my mouth, would anybody say, Abdul Hakim, why are you drinking that nasal spray? It's not eating or drinking, right? And it's not comparable to the mubalagha of istinshaq and istinthar, because that is actually you taking water in through your nose. But the nasal spray, I'm not taking anything in through my nose. Ala kulli hal. طيب. That's madmada. We know what madmada is now, right? What is istinshaq? Or what is istinthar? Some of the narration says, فَمَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْشَقَ. And other narration says, فَمَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْثَرَ. What is istinshaq? Al-istinshaq means the word shaq, to break open, which is to put water into the nose via the hand and breathe it up. A mistake that people make. Just throwing water at their nose. Or just putting their nose all on the water. Like you see people make wudu like that. But they don't breathe it in. You have to breathe the water in. You have to take the water in via your nose with a breath. That's why if you do mubalagha, where will it get to? It'll get to the back of your nose, to your throat.
It's sufficient just that it gets in a little bit.
You have to breathe it in.
Just a little bit.
You have to breathe it in.
Even if it's just a little bit.
Did you breathe it in?
Yeah, it came in a little.
If it came in, it came in.
But that would be sufficient as.
Did you breathe it in?
Yes.
Did you put water in your nose with
Yes,
the breath?
That's what I'm saying. It's sufficient, just even if it's little.
Did you put water in your nose with the breath?
Yes.
Then you did istinshaq.
That's what I mean, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
If you put water in your nose with the breath, you did istinshaq. The mubalagha is to
That's the best.
really get it up there, right? Make sure you get it all the way in till it enters into your cavity, because your mouth and your throat and your ears, they all connect. So get it up in there until you feel it. Mubalagha. As long as you're not fasting. But that's istinshaq. What is istinthar? Some people, when you look at this hadith, it says thumma madmada wastanshaqa. In the other versions, thumma madmada wastanthara. That leads some people to say al-istinshaq wal istinthar are the same thing, because they use two different words in the same place. Madmada wastanshaqa, madmada wastanthara. Right? Other people, now why is this important? Other people say no, al-istinthar is to exit water out of the nose with the breath. To squirt or to shoot water out of the nose with the breath. So you put water in, you take it in with the breath, there's water in your nose, now you have to do what? Shoot it out with the breath. You can't just let it trickle out, you can't just let it run out, you have to shoot it out with the breath. Some people say no, istinthar is istinshaq. Does it make a difference? Do you have to do both? Do you have to shoot the water out? That same person who was in his truck, he took the water in his nose. Do I have to get rid of it? I don't want to spit snot and mucus on my truck's floor. Do I have to shoot it out? I'm in a place where I don't feel comfortable doing istinthar, shooting the water. I don't have no tissue. It's going to be all on my hands. I don't want to do that. I just want to leave it in there. I just pat my face down and let it trickle out on its own. Did I do istinthar? Do I have to do istinthar? Right? So, that's why understanding the reality of these words makes a difference, because some people will say you have to do istinshaq and istinthar, just like you have to swish and spit, right? And so therefore you have to do both. For mother, and the answer to their question, the people who say that, well, no, they both must be just istinshaq because they use both words in the same hadith to refer to the same thing, we say no. The version of the hadith that says madmada wastanthara, it's showing you, it's skipping a step. You can't do istinthar unless you did what first? Istinshaq. So I don't got to tell you to do istinshaq, because you can't do istinthar unless you did istinshaq. And that's why some of the scholars, they say you only have to do two of them. Like in madmada, it's to put water in the mouth, swish it around and spit it out. But they say you only have to do two of them.
So 2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3.
You choose.
You don't, I mean, you only have to do 2 out of the 3. Because spitting out, you're going to do, like, you can put it in and swish it and swallow and good. You could put it in and spit it out and good. That's the only 2 you could do. You can't swish it around unless you did what? Put the water in. And so, do 2 out of 3 is good enough, right? And because the reason I'll say that is because what is swishing it around? How much is swishing it around? When you spit it out, aren't you swishing it around? So if you did 2 out of the 3, you swished it around. Because to spit it out, you have to, right? Ala kulli hal. The point is that both of those actions are things that should be done. For madmada wastanshaqa, thalathan. We know that the Prophet ﷺ, he made wudu 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. 1 is necessary. 1 with isbagh. And we're going to talk about that in the hadith of isbagh al-wudu. 1 that is complete is necessary. You don't have to do more than 1 as long as 1 is complete. 3 is completion, is perfection. If you do 3, that is the best you can do. More than 3 is transgression. Washing a limb more than 3 times is transgression unless you did not get the whole limb in the 3. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the feet. There is one time where some scholars say more than 3 is allowed, even if you got everything with 3. And that is the face. It's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ washed his face 3 times, and then he took a handful of water and poured it on his forehead and let it run down his face. And so they say that he washed his face how many times in that circumstance? 4. Because he washed it 3, and then he poured water and let it run down. And it's a hadith that Albani rahimahullah deems to be Hasan, and it's mentioned by I want to say Tirmidhi and Imam Ahmed. And from the things that are in that hadith as well is another strange thing, which is the wiping over the feet with sandals and no socks. The bare feet and sandals, that same hadith is the hadith of Ali. Pretty sure it's the hadith of Ali, where he would wipe over his feet with no sandals. I mean, with no socks, no khuf in sandals, or splash water in another version. So some scholars deem that hadith to be authentic, while others, like al-Bukhari, said, "La adri ma hadha." I don't know what this hadith is. It ain't no good, right? And so if you think that hadith is authentic, then there is an example of going over 3. While generally speaking, most scholars will say to go above 3 is transgression in wudu, unless there's a part of the body that didn't get enough water. Like we'll talk about in the feet, you'll wash your feet. Like, what is 3? Demonstrate for me washing 3 times.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's your face. Show me your arm. You got a sink. Use a sink.
Use a sink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you put your hand in the water and do it. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Well, first of all, you didn't wash your hand, but okay.
Ah.
I know, I'm messing with you. But that's correct. The number is the scoops. A lot of people make the mistake, especially because we have flowing water and faucets. They'll put their arm into the water. 1.
That's 1.
Water's just pouring all over their arm. 2. That is more than 3.
So what is that?
How many scoops of water did, like, for example, you might, like, like, for example, you got the big faucet in the wudu area. You're going like this. You get a scoop, you're pouring, and then you wash, then you scrub.
Right.
How many scoops was that?
3?
Yeah, like imagine the water's flowing. You got your arm, right? You're about to make wudu.
Yeah.
You take a scoop to put on this side of your arm. And then you throw some more on this side of your arm. You ever seen people make wudu like that and then throw some on the back? Especially in your feet. When you're washing your foot in a wudu or in a sink, you can't get your foot all right away.
Right.
So you take a scoop and you take a scoop and you take a scoop.
Right.
But how many scoops was that?
That was more than 3.
That was 3 right there. And then you scrub to get the water everywhere. Then you do it again. Take a scoop. What is that?
Excessive.
That's i'tidal. You're going over 3. You see what I'm saying? So the number is according to the ghurfa. How many times you take a scoop? Washing 3 times is 3 scoops. Washing 2 times is 2 scoops. That's what a lot of people miss. Going over 3 is excessive. It's i'tidal. Unless the body part 3 wasn't enough. Like with my feet, we see what they are. If I put water on this side, it's not going to make it to the other side. Right? They're big, they're dry. It's not going to make it to the other side. I got to take a scoop for the top. And then I take a scoop for the bottom. But in the sink, this part is laying down. So I need to turn my foot somehow or lift it and get some water over there. But I need a whole new scoop. How many scoops is that? 4. You see what I'm saying? Maybe I take 5 because I got to go in between my toes. If you need it, you can take more. But the foundation is that 3 is more than enough. When people used to say to the Sahaba, 3 is not enough. They say it was enough for somebody who was purer than you and had more hair. Right? What you mean 3 is not enough? The Prophet had more hair, so all that problem is not enough to get through. Prophet was hairier than you were. It was able to get through to him. and he was cleaner than you. So you're saying it's not enough because it's not going to get me clean enough. No, the Prophet was cleaner than you, and 3 was enough for him. Right? So that's what is meant by the number. 1, 2, and 3. This narration mentions the Prophet ﷺ washed his face. He did madmada and istinshaq, thalathan. And then he washed his face, thalathan. What is the face? Things that we know but don't know. We know it, but we don't know it because we don't know who said it and what's the proof for it. What is the face? Show me the face.
This right here.
Before that. Before what's the face? Is the mouth and the nose part of the face?
The outside of it, yeah.
No, what we did, the madmada and istinshaq, is it part of the face?
No.
You say no?
Yes.
You say yes. Why do you say yes? Why do you say no?
One more time.
Is the madmada and istinshaq part of the face? Is it part of washing the face?
No.
You say no.
The ayah in the Quran, does it just mention the face?
The ayah in the Quran mentions the face.
Does it mention the
I'm asking you, is the madmada and istinshaq part of the face?
Yeah.
You say yes. Why do you say yes?
Because isn't the ayah in the Quran just mention the face?
The ayah in the Quran mentions the face.
Doesn't mention the nose and the mouth.
It doesn't mention the nose
That's
and
what
the
I'm
mouth.
saying. So he put it together like that.
Okay. Or you could say the nose and the mouth aren't necessary.
Or I should not say that because it says it right here.
It says it in the hadith. Now you think, right?
Yeah.
You didn't read ahead of this chapter.
Oh.
Also, this hadith, somebody can use this hadith to prove that the nose and the mouth aren't part of the face. Because the Prophet did what?
Did both.
He did both. He washed his hands. Then he did madmada and istinshaq. Then he washed his face.
Right.
That means that the madmada and istinshaq are not part of the face. And this is the opinion of Imam Malik.
Okay.
Right? The madmada and istinshaq are not part of the face. That means you do not have to do them. Or it's better to do them. Or do them unless you forget. And we're going to see. While others say, no, the madmada and the istinshaq are part of the face. And what proves the madmada and istinshaq are part of the face? The fact that the Prophet always did them. Right? And so it must be that they're included as part of the face. And this is an issue that they disagree about.
Right.
But this is why I like the Muwatta, because it gives you that fit. I don't have to remember everybody who said everything. This hadith, I can remember now. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't. And then when I go back next time, I can build off of that. Who said it is, who said it isn't? What are their supporting proofs of why it is and why it isn't? But the Muwatta, this is how Bukhari learned. This is how Imam Ahmed learned. This is how Shafi'i learned. This was what their basis was, and that's why their minds were so open, as opposed to, how some of us learn in the later days. We get the khulasa, we get the summary, without having the openness in our mind to say, no, there's another issue that comes off of this. So what I was taught that I gotta say, like what you just said, or I could say I gotta do it. Well, who said you have to do it?
Right. Yeah.
The ayah just said, then wash your face. You need to prove to me that I have to wash my mouth and my nose. We're not arguing, should I wash my mouth and my nose? Is it wajib?
Right.
You say this hadith says that the Prophet did it. Like the hadith says the Prophet didn't, doesn't say that you have to do it.
True.
And the hadith separates between it and the face. So show me a hadith that puts them together. And show me the evidence that makes them the same thing. And we're not saying it's the wrong opinion, but that's how I build my ladder of evidence. I don't just believe it and then prove it because the hadith said it. This hadith doesn't say it's wajib. It says the Prophet did it. And in addition, we said that this hadith is going to tell us things that you should do and things that you have to do. The fact that it's mentioned in this hadith doesn't mean you have to do it, because I don't have to wash my hands before wudu.
Yeah.
And I don't have to wash it 2 or 3 times. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you have to approach it like that. And I know Imam Malik is teaching me what? What's the name of this chapter? How to make wudu. What are the actions that I do in wudu?
Right.
So he's telling me, and some of the things he's going to tell me what I have to do, things that I should do, and he's going to leave off things that I don't have to. And so here you see that Imam Malik is saying you don't have to wash your face, your mouth and your nose. And he's going to explicitly mention that later on about somebody who forgets to wash their mouth and their nose and then they pray. No problem. So if we have this disagreement, we need to know what is the face. So what is the face? The majority, if not everybody, will mention that the face is from the hairline, or where it would be, to the chin, tulan, lengthwise. And from the aridain, the jawline, to the jawline widthwise. Everybody says that. The question is the white space between the sideburns and the ears, is that part of the face? And the fat, like the cartilage that's on the front part of the ear right here, is that part of the face? Everybody, you look at somebody, you put your hair, you got a space enough for your finger between your sideburns and your ears. And that space touches your ear. Right? That cartilage part that's at the lobe. They call it dhahir al-udhun. Is that part of the face? People make wudu like that. You'll see them just do this. Did I wash my face? I just go like this.
And they didn't get this part right.
They didn't get that part right there. Did I wash my face?
Well, if this is part of the face,
Well, that's the question.
and you didn't do it, then you didn't wash your face.
That's the point. Now we see why this is an important issue. Because how many people just do like this in wudu? Is this part of the face? There is some people who say that this is not part of the face. That white between the sideburn and the earlobe is not part of the face. So if you didn't do it, no problem.
Yeah.
But the majority, if not everybody, says that this is part of the face. That white, idar, or that bayal between the sideburns and the ear, that is part of the face, right? Just like the jawline, all of that. Some people have beards and their bottom of their jawline has white on it where there's no hair coming from. It's still part of the face. So you have to wash that. So when people make wudu like this and they kind of come on their side, but they just bring it down the sideburns and they didn't get to the ear, they didn't wash their face. And if they didn't wash their face, they didn't make wudu. And if they didn't make wudu, salat's invalid. So you have to be conscious of that type of detail, especially if you believe that that is part of the face. So, hairline to chin, earlobe to earlobe. And that's why Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he would wash his face, his thumbs would touch his ear like that, right? To make sure he got that space. طيب.
So, the beard?
That's the next question. You have to forehead to chin. But what am I washing?
The skin.
What am I washing? The skin of what?
Of the face.
Of the face. What is a face?
You just mentioned.
Well, that's the borders of the face. But what is a face? That's your face. That's the boundaries of your face. But what's the face of a clock? If I tell you to face the facts, what is a face?
Something.
Front.
What you direct towards something else. Ma yakumu bihi al-Muwatta. What you face something with. Right? If I say don't turn away your face from me, does your beard stay in this go?
No.
Your beard goes with you, right? Because your beard is part of your what?
Face.
This is where we get into that disagreement. Some people say, if the beard is thin, where I can see the skin, then you have to wash the skin. That's without a doubt. But if the beard is thick, then what covers the face from the beard is part of the face for sure. Because it's covering the face. And so you have to get water on that section. Do you have to get water under that section to the skin?
Right here? Or,
Right here.
yeah.
Do I have to get water? Like, for example, Bashir, look up for me. Bashir has to wash his skin. Right? His beard, I can see the color of his skin through it. He has to make sure water gets to his skin. You and I cannot see your chin. You can't see my chin. It's covered in beard hair. do I have to get water to the skin? The stronger opinion is that no. If the beard is thick, the amount of the beard that is covering the hair, the covering the skin, I don't have to get water to it.
Just the top of it.
Just the top of it. I have to get water on the top of it. Do I have to move it?
Go get there then.
Or do I have to put my fingers inside of it? Tahriq or takhleel? Some people say I don't have to do anything. What pours on top of the beard is good enough. So the water that just runs on the surface, like mine, your hair is different. My beard hair, water is not just going to penetrate on its own. It's going to fall off and run straight down. It won't get to my skin. My skin will be completely dry when I wash my face. And they say, I don't have to get inside of my beard at all, as long as I wash the surface. Others, like Imam Malik, they say, you should do tahriq. You don't have to go inside of your beard, but you should move your beard. Because by moving your beard, what will the water do? It'll penetrate. And so the water will get inside normally just by moving your beard, but you don't have to go inside with your fingers. While others say, no, it's wajib to go inside with your fingers. But that is a very weak opinion. And some of them say there are no authentic hadith necessitating takhleel al-lihya. And the person who said it, if I'm not mistaken, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he says, what's wrong with some people when they don't have a beard, they wash their skin, but when they get a beard, they don't. And when they don't have hair on their chin, they wash their chin, but then when they get hair, they don't. You got to wash, they're the same thing. You got to wash your skin. That's what needs to be washed. But the stronger opinion is that the Prophet ﷺ, it's not recorded from him in most of his wudu that he would go inside or even move in wudu. And we have in front of us the proof. We said Imam Malik, if he leaves something out, that means what?
You don't have to do it.
Did he mention going inside of the beard?
Mm-mm.
So you don't have to do it. Tayyib, that's in wudu. What about ghusl?
Like if you have to put your finger through it.
Do you have to get water to your skin in the ghusl?
Yes.
They say no.
Say no.
Some people, the people who say yes. Like Ash-Shafi'i and others, some of them say yes. And they use the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, تَحْتَ كُلَّ شَعْرَةٍ جَنَابَةٍ. Under every hair, there is sexual impurity. So when you take a ghusl, you have to get the sexual impurity from under every hair. So you have to do takhleel. While others say, no, you only have to do tahriq. While others say, no, you don't have to do any of it. There's no difference between wudu and ghusl and washing the face. When it mentions the ghusl of the Prophet, what does it say?
Wash your face.
Wash his face. He would make the wudu like the wudu he makes for salat. And then he would pour water over his head. It doesn't mention anything about going inside of the beard. We know the Prophet had a thick beard. So if it doesn't mention that he did it, you don't have to do it. And so there's disagreement in all of that, but even though we're not talking about ghusl yet, you have that foundation. Now, what does this hadith say? How to do it in wudu. Did this hadith mention going inside? So we know that some people, the opinion is you don't have to go inside. And then we know if the opinion is that you don't have to go inside, other people say you do. And how do they say you do? Either by moving it or by getting the fingers inside of it. Tayyib. That's for the hair that is on the skin. What about the hair that is below the skin? They call it al-mustarsal. Do you have to wash that hair? So for example, and I stop,
Right.
and I don't come all the way down. Did I wash my face? It depends on what you consider to be the face. Some people say that hair, that there's no skin under it, is not part of the face. Comparing it to the hair on your head, that there's no skin under it, is not part of the head. And we agree with that. The hair on the head that has no skin under it is not part of the head. And so they say if that hair, if you have a long ponytail that comes down your back, it's not part of your head. You don't have to wash it. You don't have to wipe it, should I say. You don't have to go, right? You never see nobody make wudu like that, right? And so since that hanging hair is not part of your head, this hanging hair shouldn't be part of your beard. Part of your face. While others, they say, no, you're wrong. Because you wipe the what?
Head.
What's it called?
That's
Ras. What does that word mean in Arabic? Why do we call the head the head?
The main thing.
Because it's on the head.
Because it's the top,
Top, yeah.
right? It's the top part. And so the hair that falls down, it's not on the top no more. It's no longer the top. It fell down. So it's not the head. What is the face? What's the word for in Arabic? Wajh. Why do we call it a wajh? Like this is the wajh of the phone. And so is this. Right? Why do we call it a wajh? No, it's not on top.
The thing that's facing.
It's the thing that's facing. And so, no matter how long down the beard goes, it's what?
Still facing.
It's still facing
So if
you.
your beard was...
If your beard came down to your
gotta
belly,
go
you got to go all the way down because it's part of what's facing you. Like we said, when I say, don't give me that face.
True. But here's the thing. Here's the problem with that, though. This is the face, like you said.
Uh-huh.
It's facing you. So my chest is the face then.
No,
I'm facing you.
because the chest is not on the face.
Yeah, but I'm facing. It's facing you.
But I can go like that. And now if I go like this,
Exactly. Now it's facing you.
I'm facing
Just
you.
isn't.
Right.
My chest isn't.
Okay, but I can.
I
do
can
this.
only face the chest.
But you see what I'm saying?
I understand, but it's not facing you. The face is facing you, and your chest just happens to be the same direction, right? The face is what you're facing somebody with, right? If I go like this, am I facing you?
Your head's not. Your body is.
So am I? If you said to me, "Is Abdul Hakim facing you?" You would say what?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Linguistically, if I said, "Is Abdul Hakim facing you?"
Yeah.
You would say no,
Your whole body.
because I'm not. Do you face the Qibla like that? When we talk about facing, the other parts might follow the head secondarily, but this is the face because it's what's facing you. You see what I'm saying? And that hair is connected to the face. Your chest isn't connected to your face. And so even though it might be facing you, face me with your chest. That's true, but it's not the face. You see what I'm saying? Nobody ever says this is your face.
No, I was using their argument because.
Right, but even linguistic, that's what I'm saying. Like linguistically, nobody. I might say to wajuhuni bi sadrik. You pointed your chest towards me, right? But nobody would ever say that is your face. So the word face, even though I can face you with it, nobody would ever include that in the word face. But the beard, it's following the face. And so since it follows the face, that's why if you don't have one, you don't have to do it.
It grows on the face.
It grows on the face. And so it becomes part of the face because that's what you face me with. That's the argument. Well, other people say, no, it's not part of the face because it's not on the face and there's no face under it. Because the face stops at the chin and there's no face under that face. That might as well
That
be your
makes sense.
chest.
That makes
You see what I'm saying?
sense.
So that's the face. فَغَسَلَ وَجْهَهُ وَثُمَّ غَسَلَ وَجْهَهُ ثَلَاثًا. I don't think there's anything else about the face. طيب. وغسل يديه مرتين وغسل يديه مرتين ثم غسل يديه إلى مرفقين مرتين. Some of the versions say ثم غسل يديه مرتين إلى المرفقين. طيب. First off, the yed. What is the yed? What's your yed?
To the hand, to the elbow, right here.
No.
What is it? All.
Yes. The yed is the hand all the way to the shoulder. That's your yed. Right? That's the yed. Think about it like in animals. What's their yed?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Right? They have 2 hands and 2 feet. Right? But it's all the legs are the one. That's why we say the camel's knees are in its what? Are in its yed. Because when the camel bends, which way does where are their knees at that bend? In their front legs, which are arms. So the camel's knees are in its arms. So their knee, because it's not an elbow there, because elbows bend in, knees bend. Wait, no, elbows bend out, knees bend in. Right, your knee bends in. Right, my knee is bending in right now, and elbows bend out. So the camel's knee is in its arms. And that arm goes all the way up to the camel's body, and then there goes the knee, right? Oh, it got hot. Like, so we know what the yed is. A mistake that a lot of people make. They don't wash the yed with the hand again, the palm again. They think that they wash the palm before wudu. That's good enough. That is not good enough. You have to re-wash the fingers and all of that. Washing the yed ila al-mirfaq, to the elbow. We know what the elbow is, that joint. Do you have to wash the elbow?
I would, yeah. But I don't know.
That's the question. What's this hadith say?
To the elbow.
To the elbow. So we got to understand what word? To. What does the word to mean? When you're trying to figure out something, how do you figure it out? What's the best thing you can use to figure something out? I don't know the best thing you can use to figure something out? Yes, you do. Cry. The most articulate language is what? Khairul kalam? Give me an ayah with ila in it in the Quran. Does it include or not include? فَأَتِمُّ الصِّيَامِ ila al-layl. Do you have to fast a part of the night? Huh? So ila means what? You stop at the thing. Atimmu siyama, complete your fasting, ila layl, to the night. Right. The moment it's night, you stop fasting. The moment it's elbow, you stop wudu. So therefore the elbow is not included. Because the moment it's elbow, it's not wudu. Atimmu siyama.
It's touching the elbow though.
So yeah, once you touch the elbow from this way.
Are you talking about like this half, it touched it, and this half didn't touch it? Is that what
Yeah. I'm making wudu. Waqsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiq. I got to the marafiq. I stopped.
Right.
It doesn't include in it.
Right.
Because you said atimmu siyama ila layl.
Well, you're saying it touched the elbow.
It gets to the elbow and then you stop.
No. Is it touching the elbow?
I'm right here where I'm at. I'm at the elbow.
Right.
The elbow is not included in it. Because you said to the elbow.
But it touched the end of it though.
I didn't get the elbow. I'm not touching. I stopped at the elbow.
Right.
This is my elbow. When I say to the elbow, I stop where?
Below the elbow?
Below. You call it below, above. It depends on how you want to look at it. I stopped at the elbow. I didn't include the elbow. Because you said, atimmu siyama ila layl didn't include the night. When I'm fasting, do I go into the night? No. So when I'm making wudu, do I go into the elbow? Play. Y'all agree now? Play. What about the ayah where Allah says, what's that? No, you can say he stopped at Masjid al-Aqsa. Hold on, what's the ayah? What's the ayah? وإذ قال عيسى بن مريم يا بني إسرائيل ومن أنصاري إلى الله. What's that mean? من أنصاري إلى الله. What's that mean?
To Allah.
It's not two there. Remember the harf in Arabic, you got ism, fi'l, and harf. The harf in Arabic is the hardest thing to figure out because who's going to help me to Allah? What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? That don't make no sense. Allah is separate from His creation. You can't get to there. You can't get there. So what does ila in this ayah mean? Here, let's give you another ayah. لا تأكلوا أموالكم إلى أموالهم.
As.
Don't consume your wealth as their wealth.
Along with.
لا تأكلوا أموالكم مع أموالهم. من أنصاري مع الله. Who's going to help me along with Allah? Allah is helping me. But who's going to help me along with Allah? Who's going to don't consume your wealth along with their wealth? So according to that definition of ila, it means what?
Elbows included.
Elbows included. فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ مَعَ الْمَرَافِقِ. And so there you have to wash the marafiq. طيب, you said the Quran was going to help us figure out the answer. It gives us both possibilities. Which one is the right possibility?
Both.
No. Both can't be right. Because the people that say you have to wash the elbow and other people say you don't have to wash the elbow. They can't both be right. Other people say that y'all wrong from the beginning. Y'all misunderstood ila the whole time. When you say the word ila, that means the limit of something. If the something that is mentioned as the limit is part of the thing, it's included. And if the something that is mentioned is separate from the thing, it's the boundary. So for example, if I say I went from my house to your house, ذهبت من بيتي إلى بيتك. Is your house part of my house?
No.
Then ila means your house was the limit. I stopped at your house. Whereas if I said I went from ذهبت من I'm trying to think of something that's not clear. Like, if it's part of the thing though, wash your arms ila marafiq. Is the marafiq part of the arm? Is this part of the arm?
Yes.
Because we said the arm is from here to here.
Oh yeah.
So if the thing is part of the thing, then it's included.
Oh yeah.
And they say, see, that's how you got to understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they're proven by the hadith. The Prophet, even though the hadith might have some question, وَأَدَارَ الْمَاءَ عَلَى مِرْفَقِهِ. And he poured the water around his arm. Right? He made sure he got water on his arm حَتَّى أَشْرَعَ فِي الْعَضُ. Until he started to go a little bit into the bicep. So the stronger opinion is that the portion that you have to wash is from the fingertips, including the elbow. Some people say you don't have to wash the elbow, and they have a point. But we say no, there's too much evidence on the other side that says you do have to wash the elbow. ثم غسل يديه مرتين. How many times did he wash his face?
Face.
Yeah.
3.
How many times did he wash his madmada and istinshaq?
3.
How many times did he wash his arms?
2.
Twice.
How many times did he wipe his head?
1.
How many times did he wash his feet?
I don't know.
It doesn't say. They call this talfiq al-wudu. Jumbling up or mixing up your wudu. 1, 1, 1. Can I do that?
Yeah.
2, 2, 2. Can I do that? 3, 3, 3. Can I do that? 4, 4, 4. Can I do that?
No.
Hold on.
Yeah. 1, 3, 2. Can I do that?
Yes.
1, 2, 2, 2. Can I do that? 3, 1, 1, 1. Can I do that? That's talfiq al-wudu. 1, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 3. Right? I can mix up the amount of times I wash something. Just because I wash my face 3 times doesn't mean I have to wash my arms 3 times. And this is talfiq al-wudu. This hadith is a proof that you can do that. Right? Sometimes you might wash your feet more or less. And they call it a tawqit fil wudu. How many times in wudu? Or a tahdeed fil wudu. What's the limit of washings, right? 1 limit, 2 limit, 3 limit. But you can mix it up. And this hadith proves that you can mix it up because the Prophet washed his arms twice, according to this version. Some narrations mention 3 times. Right? But this version makes it say twice. طيب. ثم غسل يديه مرتين. And some of the versions it says ثم غسل يده اليمنى مرتين والأخرى مرتين. Which shows us that the Prophet ﷺ started with the what?
Right.
وَكَانَ يُحِبُّ التَّيَامُنَ فِي أُمُورِهِ. He used to love to start with the right. It is not necessary to start with the right. How do we know you don't have to do it?
Wudu.
Because Imam Malik didn't mention it.
Mm.
We said amal fil wudu. He's going to mention some things that you have to do, some things that you should do, and the things that he doesn't mention, you don't have to do. Does he mention starting with the right? You don't have to do it. Is it okay to start with the right? Is it better to start with the right? But you don't have to do it. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, I don't care which one I start with. right or left. I don't care which one I start with.
All
Right?
I got a quick question.
Follow.
So when we say like Imam Malik didn't mention it, so all this so far is it any of Imam Malik's explanation or narration? Everything this is just hadith, right?
My explanation is what you want me to say something other than hadith?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm mentioning the hadith to tell you the answer. You want me to tell you something else? If I can answer you with the hadith, what else you need? I'm putting in this book al-amal fil wudu. What you need to do in wudu. What I'm supposed to tell you. I started off the hadith by telling you, Hel tastati and turiyani kayfa kana Rasulullah. I don't need to know about nobody else. I don't need to know about Abu Hurairah. I don't need to know about a Shafi. I don't need to know about Abu Hanifa. How did the messenger make wudu? My opinion is what? What's my opinion? How the Prophet did it. Now that you know that, here goes the hadith. This hadith is telling you what you need to do. I could have given you any hadith in the world. I could have gave you all the hadith in the world. What hadith did I choose to teach you how to make wudu? I chose this hadith because this hadith is telling you what you need to do. And I might bring some other chapters to fill in some blanks or to point some things out. But generally speaking, this is what you need to do. And if I didn't mention it, then that means I don't think you need to do it. Because if I thought you need to do it, I would have did what? I would have mentioned it. Right? Like, so, Talfiq al-wudu, we talked about that. He washes right first, his left second. You don't have to do it. But some people say it's preferable. But even Ali said, I don't care which one I start with. So that means to him it's what?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not even, it's just move. You start with the other one. It's not, that's not anything important. You start with your left hand, you didn't go against the sunnah. You see what I'm saying? It's jaiz. طيب. ثم مسح برأسه بيديه فأقبل بهما وأدبر بدأ بمقدم رأسه ثم ذهب بهما إلى قفاه ثم ردهما إلى مكان الذي بدأ منه حتى رجع إلى المكان الذي بدأ منه. طيب. ثم مسح برأسه. المس. The first question is, do you need to take new water? In some of the narrations, it mentions بِغَيْرِ فَضْلِ الْمَاءِ يَدَيْهِ or بِغَيْرِ فَضْلِ مَاءِ يَدَيْهِ, with water other than the water left over in his hands. So when you wipe your head, you have to take new water. And this is according to the view that you can't use leftover water because leftover water can no longer purify, which is the view of a lot of scholars. They say used water, you can't reuse it. And leftover water, we have to understand what is leftover water. Leftover water, there's two views about it. It's the water that falls from the limb. So if I pour water on my arm to wash it, the water that trickles off of my arm is the leftover water. Other people say leftover water is the water that's left in the container after I took water out. But that becomes too hard. Because if you say I can't use leftover water, nobody says, because if I dug into the container once and that water's left over, I can't use it again. But they use it for that, like when they talk about a tub, like if you take a bath, right? Or when a woman leaves over water. When she makes wudu from a container, they say you can't use that container after her if she was alone and purified herself a complete purification because of hadith. That bowl that she dug into, you can't take water out of that bowl if you're a man because that's leftover water from a woman. So that's an example when they say the leftover water is the water in the container. Other times they say, no, the leftover water is the water that falls off of the limb because that's the water that cleaned the arm. When you dig into the container and you pour the water on your arm, what water cleaned your arm? The water that's falling off of your arm. And so they say that that water cannot repurify. It's used. Why do they say that? They say because water is like a slave. Once you free a slave, can you free it again?
I didn't free the water, did I?
When you use the water, it's like you freeing a slave. This is their argument. This is
Man, where you
literally,
get that from?
this is their comparison. I you got to take me for it, but this is what they say. Used water is like a freed slave. Once you use it once, you can't use it again. Once you free us, you use the slave, then you freed him. You let him go. You're done with him.
Okay.
You use the water, you let it go. You're done with it.
Right.
Can you free it again?
No. Let's see.
They say you can't free a slave twice. You can't use the water twice. And so a lot of scholars say used water cannot be reused. Other people say, what are y'all doing? Your comparison has nothing to do with water. Then your statement is wrong. Because if that slave that I freed remains a kafir, goes back to the kuffar, fights against the Muslims again, and we win again, and I take him as a slave again, and then I free him again the second time, I freed him twice. So if I gather all that water back up, recapture it, and put it back on my arm, then I've used it twice. So first of all, your comparison has nothing to do with wudu, and then second of all, I can use your comparison to win the argument.
Exactly. Yeah.
I believe the stronger opinion is that you can use water twice, right? As long as it's water, it's water. And as long as it's water, it's tahor, unless it's najis. But this view is that you can't use it twice. And there'll be a section about that. And it's supported in this version of the hadith, because the other version states it clearly, with other than water left over on his hand. But this version says, thumma masaha bi ra'sihi. And what does thumma represent?
Some order.
Order, but separation, like a lengthier separation than fa. If it was the water left over in his hand, he would have said fa masaha bi ra'sihi. But to say thumma shows that there was something, a step in between. And that step in between is the getting of new water. And so getting of new water, some of them say it's necessary. When you wipe your head, you have to get new water. While other people say, no, you can use the water that's left over in your hand, it's no problem. Sunnah is to get new water, right? طيب فمسح ثم مسح برأسه. What does B mean? We got the same problem with B as we had with ila.
With
On his head.
Does it mean all or does it mean some? Where do you go to?
Quran.
Quran. Let's look for some ayat. وَلْيَطَّوَّفُوا بِالْبَيْتِ الْعَتِيقِ. How much of the Kaaba do you have to make tawaf around? The whole Kaaba. Not just most of it, not just some of it. You have to go around the whole Kaaba. That's why you can't cut through Hajr Ismail, because part of Hajr Ismail is inside the Kaaba. So the ayat says, وَلْيَطَّوَّفُوا بِالْبَيْتِ الْعَتِيقِ. And let them make tawaf around the whole Kaaba. The whole Kaaba. So that means you have to wipe what? Likewise, Allah says in Tayammum, فَتَيَمَّمُوا سَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ. You have to wash what?
Whole face.
The whole. You have to wipe when you're making tayammum the whole face. And nobody says you can just wipe part of the face. And likewise, in wudu, what does Allah say? فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. He doesn't even mention B. Right? And so you have to do what? Wash the whole face. Right? And so, likewise, when it comes to wiping the head, you have to wipe the whole head. And so it is necessary when you're wiping the head to wipe the whole head, the entirety of the head. Other scholars say no. The ba here, it doesn't mean the entirety. It means touching it, right? For example, just a weak argument, because it's mine. ضربته بيدي. I hit him with my hand.
Not the whole hand.
I didn't use my whole hand. I just used the part of it, right? So they say you don't have to wipe the whole head. You just have to wipe a part of it. And how much is the part of it that you have to wipe? Some people say the majority of it. You have to wipe at least the majority of it. Some people say you have to wipe at least a third, and a third is the majority. Some people say you have to use at least 3 fingers. Some people say 1 finger is enough. If I did this, what would you say about me?
Wiping your neck.
No, okay, I'm wiping my kafa, the back of my head. I'm not on my neck. If I did this, what would you say about me?
He's wiping the back of his head.
He's wiping his head. Right? If I did this, why are you wiping your head, Akhi? Even though I didn't wipe most of it, I didn't wipe all of it. I didn't use 3 fingers. So some people say that's enough. And there's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ masaha nasiyatuhu taht al-imam or fawq al-imam, like this. He just did like that.
Sahih.
Well, this is not Sahih Da'if class. You got to go look at the hadith and figure it out. It's Sahih enough for people to have used it. You see what I'm saying? They believed it, and they believed it was a proof. Now, is it as strong as other things or not? Because remember, Sahih and Da'if are perspective. And we already talked about that. It could be weak and still be Sahih. But the Prophet ﷺ wiped his nasiyah under the imam, right? And so they say you only have to wipe a portion of your head. And then they argue about what is the portion that you have to wipe. So some of them say if you're only going to wipe a portion, you have to wipe the front, the nasiyah, right? And then he wiped the rest on top of the imam, right? Other people say, no, you can wipe anywhere. At the end of the day, what is the view that this hadith supports the most? ثُمَّ مَسَحَ بِرَأْسِهِ.
Forehead.
No. Because what is the next statement? فَأَقْبَلَ بِهِمَا وَأَدْبَرَ. He went forwards and backwards with them. That statement, forward and backwards, represents all of the head, if not the majority. You see what I'm saying? And that's the view of Imam Malik. You got to do the whole head. But we run into a problem here. The next sentence says he started with the front of his head and then went to the back of the neck. The back of the head, the nape of the head, like above the nape of the neck. And then he returned back until he returned them back to the spot that he began from. So the first sentence says he went forward and backwards with them. And then the other sentence says he started from the back and then he started from the front and then went to the back. So did he go forwards and backwards, or did he go backwards and forward? You understand? The first sentence says he went forward and backwards with them. فَأَقْبَلَ وَأَدْبَرَ. He went forward and backwards. Which way is forward? That's not forward.
Let's start from here.
That's backwards.
Start here.
That's forward. Which way is forward? Which way is backwards?
Forward.
That's forward and backwards. So the narration says aqbala. He went forward and backwards. And then the next sentence says he started with the front of his head and went to the qafa, went to the back. And then he returned them back to where he began from. So he went backwards, forward, backwards. I'm saying he went backwards, forward. He went backwards, forward. He started from the muqaddama ra'sihi, and then he went back to the qafa, and then he returned them back to where he began from. So, did he go forwards and backwards or backwards and forward? You see how the hadith mentions it 2 different sentences saying the opposite. The first sentence says he went forward and then back. So that would mean he would have started with where? The back of his head and then went forward and then went back. While the other one says, Bada bi muqaddami ra'sihi, he started at the front of his head and went backwards, and then he returned them back to where he began from. So which one did he do? Did he go backwards and forwards or forwards and backwards?
Both. Maybe that's.
He didn't do both.
Maybe he's explaining the second part.
Mumtaz. The second sentence is explaining the first one. He went forwards and backwards. No. He didn't start with forward. He started from the front and went backwards and then went back forward. But he went forward and backwards because wow doesn't necessitate order. So if it wasn't for the second sentence, I would have thought to start at the back of my head maybe. But the second sentence is meant to clarify how he did it. That's the stronger view. That he started from the front, went to the back, and then went back forward. So he went backwards and forwards. But the sentence he went forwards and backwards, أقبل بهما وأدبر, it's not meant to be in order. Because the word wow doesn't mean order, right? The word and in Arabic doesn't necessitate order, like fa or thum, right? So you have to know that when you hear things, that wow doesn't mean order. So if some people say, no, you start from the back of your head and move forward, we say that's what?
No.
That's not the sunnah. The hadith says أقبل بهما وأدبر. Yeah, but you didn't read the next sentence. He started at the front of his head. That's the sunnah. Some people say the sunnah is to start with the back of the head and go forward. Right? You start back here and go forward. Ibn Umar used to start from the middle of his head. And what would he do?
Go forward.
He would go forward and then go back. أقبل بها وأدبر. But he would start with the middle of his head. Right? So those are other understandings you could have about it. أقبل بهما وأدبر. We talked about wiping part of the head. We talked about how much of the head needs to be wiped. We talk about the order. طيب. How many times did he wipe his head?
Is this once?
Once.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
الحمد لله.
حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الصلاة القائمة آت محمد وصلى رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام. طيب. So we talked about how much of the head needs to be wiped. We talked about the method in wiping the head. We talked about what is the head, right? It's ma'ala. The hair we talked about in another section where you don't have to wipe the hair that hangs low. How many times should you wipe the head? This hadith mentions what? Once. And the majority of the hadith only mention once. A version of this hadith on Sufyan ibn Uyayna, and it's a mistake. This is an example of the time that Sufyan ibn Uyayna made a mistake. He made two mistakes in his version of this hadith. He said that Abdullah bin Zayd was Ibn Abdi Rabbihi, and he also said in this hadith that the Prophet wiped his head twice, marratayn. And they say that that's probably because he considered going back once and going forward once. So he said he wiped his head twice, because technically he went back and forward. And so that's what they say, that Sufyan ibn Uyayna is the only one who narrates this hadith mentioning twice on wiping the head, and it's as if he took that from that meaning of going backwards and forwards. But a Shafi'i, he believes that the sunnah is to wipe the head 3 times. The complete head 3 times, right? The complete motion 3 times. And there are hadith that are general that mention that the Prophet wiped his head 3 times, right? But they question the strength of those hadith compared to the other hadith that only mention it once. So if we have a hadith that mentions it 3 times, and all the other hadith are mentioning it once, is that really an addition, or is that just a mistake somebody just got in the habit of saying 3 times, 3 times, 3 times over and over again, right? So a Shafi'i says, no, it's the sunnah to wipe your head 3 times. So if somebody wipes their head once, and twice, and 3 times, or once, twice, 3 times, no problem. But the majority of the people feel that the sunnah is to wipe the head once.
You wipe your head so many times, your head's going to be wet.
It's still just wiping, though. What's that matter if the head is wet?
It's supposed to be just a wipe.
You're not washing it. You didn't take a handful of water and scrub it. It's just taking wet hands. You take the water. That's another version of the narration. He took water in his hands and dropped it out. So he took fresh water, got rid of it. Now your hands are just wet. But when you put water in your hands, was that removing hadith? To wipe your head. You had to scoop fresh water. Now water is in your hands. Was that the water to remove hadith?
No.
Because you had already did what? You already washed your hands. So that's something similar, but it didn't remove the hadith, so the water is still good. You let it go. Now the water that's left on in your hands, is that used water?
New water.
It's new water. Even though you put it in your hands, it's not used because you didn't remove the hadith with it. You wipe your head. And then you do it again, you wipe your head. And then you do it again, you wipe your head. That's according to Shia. Some people hold that opinion. And if somebody wants to wipe their head 3 times, that bust, inshallah. But the majority hold the view that the wiping of the head is 1 time. And the best way of the 1 time is to what? Forward, start at the front of your head, go backwards, and then bring it back. Like, why do I feel that you don't have to wipe the entirety of the head? Here becomes a question. The people who say wiping the entirety of the head, do they mean that every strand of hair on your head needs to be touched? It would seem so, because they say you have to wipe your entire head. So that means you have to touch every strand of your head. And the only way to really get around that is to say you don't have to wipe your entire head. Or you could say when they say the entire head, they don't actually mean every single strand, because the Salaf wasn't that precise. They weren't trying to be that picky. They just mean it has to look like you're wiping your entire head. Similar to what they say about wiping the face in tayammum. They say you have to wipe your entire face in tayammum. Right? You ever made tayammum? Show me how you make tayammum. Did he wipe his entire face? That people just do that nice little soft touch. Sometimes they leave that whole nose and mouth. They say you have to wipe your whole. But even with that I just did I get my whole face? Is every piece of skin on my face got touched? But if you looked at me, you would say what? Hakeem wiped his whole face. So do we say that they mean he wiped his whole face, i.e. in the perception that it looks like he was wiping the same thing when we say head? If I got my fingers open like this, how most people do, and I wipe my head, is every strand of hair getting touched? Maybe not. But you would still say he wiped his whole head. While some people say, no, you got to wipe the whole head. You got to make sure that you get, like that, and move it back and forward. You see what I'm saying? To make sure that you touch the whole surface area. Depending on how you worship Allah. If you want to be sure, do it all. Make sure you get it to everywhere. You see what I'm saying? Like Ibn Umar, we said he would start from the middle, flat hand, wipe the whole thing, then wipe down the sides. Make sure you get it all. You see what I'm saying? Those are things to be careful about, to be particular about. After that, wiping the head. Talked about how many times. Men and women are the same. So if a man has to wipe all of his head, a woman has to wipe all of her head. And she cannot wipe over her khimar. That is the method of Malik. She can't wipe over the khimar. Just like a man can't wipe over the imama. Right? Now, the people who say a partial, she can just wipe over a partial, right? And the people who say a man can wipe over the imama, they say she can wipe over the khimar. But that's an issue. What we see here, Imam Malik, is you had to wipe the whole head. What did Imam Malik not mention? He didn't mention the ears. That means to Imam Malik, you what? I gotta do the ears. They're not part of the head. It's a sunnah, but they're not part of the head. And the ayah, does it mention the ears? You don't gotta wipe the ears. Some people say you don't have to wipe the ears. Other people say you gotta wipe the ears. Right? And then it says, and then he washed his feet, or ثُمَّ غَسَلَ رِجْلَيْهِ, his legs. And what are the legs? Right? He washed his legs to the Kaab, to the 2 Kaabs. Plate. 2 here, same conversation as before. If you say 2 means and, or it's the limit because it's part of, or it's included because it's part of, or if you say 2 means under, no problem. It's which position you take. The question becomes, إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ ثُمَّ غَسَلَ رِجْلَيْهِ. Okay. And some of the narrations it says to the Ka'bayn. And the ayah that says to إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. Okay. Then he washed his legs. We know he didn't wash the entirety of the leg. The ayah mentions ila al-ka'bayn. So that's what you have to wash, from the toes to the ka'bayn. The question is, what are the ka'bayn?
Ankle.
Sure?
Above the ankle.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure.
How many ka'bs are there?
2.
It's 2?
2 on each.
It's lit.
It's 2 on each, so how many is that?
4.
Okay, so it said to the ka'bayn, not to the aqrub. How many ka'bs are there? This is a big issue. People disagree about this. Majority of us say that the ka'b is the protruding bone on the side of the feet, and each foot has 2. And so, ka'ban. And so, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. But some people find that problematic because أَرْجُلِكُمْ is plural, and the aqrub should be plural, because you have 2 in each foot. He didn't say wash your foot to the ka'bayn, or wash your feet to the ka'bayn, or he did say wash your feet to the ka'bayn. But some people say no, the ka'b is this part. It's this part. That's an important distinction, because they say you only have to wash up to here. You don't have to do all this back there. The Shiite, they only wipe on the top of their feet. You see what I'm saying? They say that this is the ka'b. Or they say that this whole circular area is the ka'b. Right? Al-madar, al-migras, al-da'ir, where all of the tendons and ligaments from the shin gather with the feet. So this whole circular section is the ka'bayn. Right? That whole mafsal. Right? Where that happens at, that's the ka'bayn. That whole section. And they say that the word ka'b is used for any joint in the body. You could call it a ka'b. And so they say that that's the ka'b. Some people say the ka'b is the arqub, the Achilles. They say that that's the ka'b. And so you say ila al-ka'bayn, right? To the Achilles. But the hadith, waylun lil-a'qabi min an-nar, that's a'qab, the aqab, the back, it supports that you have to get the whole foot. Because depending on what you call the ka'b, some people say you don't have to get the whole foot. Right? If you say that it's this part, you don't have to get, right? Wamsahu bi ila al-ka'bayn. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to get the rest of this. But because the Prophet said waylun lil-a'qabi min an-nar, it shows that you have to get all the way to the back. So it's either this, which is most likely what the majority of people say, or it's the arqub, which is the Achilles, which would make sense to come all the way to the back. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the ka'ban. He doesn't mention going in between the toes, so you don't have to go in between the toes, right? Taqleel al-asabi. Some people say going in between the toes is not even a sunnah, right? And that is the general overview of wudu.
We don't have all of the.
Huh?
We don't have all of the other ones.
Well, what are the next ones? We don't have time to go
No,
over.
I'm saying like the Uthman.
Oh no, he doesn't mention the hadith of
That's what I'm
Uthman.
talking about.
He didn't. I don't need to teach you everything. I'll just teach you the amal fil wudu. He wants you to know what he wants you to know. This is what you need to know. Now you know how to make wudu according to Imam Malik. As long as you finish the rest of the chapter, you might have some questions. Do you have to do madmada and istinshaq? Imam Malik has a statement. Do you have to go in order? Remember, the method, when we talk about like Hanabila, we say that you have to go in order and you have to be in close proximity. Do you have to be in order in close proximity? Let's see what Imam Malik says, because he's going to mention some things that support that. You see what I'm saying? Do you have to, can this be the ka'b, or is this the ka'b? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He's going to mention something, waylun lil-a'qabi min an-nar, right?
Didn't mention the numbers in the feet also.
Huh?
Didn't mention how many.
Oh, that's what I meant to talk about. Washing the feet, Imam Malik used to not see a tahdeed in the amount of times. And we talked about it earlier on. That's why I forgot to talk about it at the end. The feet, you might have to go more than 2 or 3 times. And so another narration of the hadith says, وَغَسَلَ رِجْلَيْهِ حَتَّى أَنْقَاهُمَا, until he cleaned the 2 of them. So however much is needed to clean the feet, that's how many times you go. Right? حَتَّى أَنْقَاهُمَا. And that also is included in the conversation of talfiq fil wudu. Right? And you see that even in the ghusl. He would go somewhere else and wash his feet. Right? Because you got to get to the feet. When you're making a ghusl and the puddle of water is that you can't necessarily get to your feet, so you had to go to a clean location and then wash your feet. And so he would wash his feet until they were clean. Hatta anqahuma. Was there anything else? I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Everything else was just like who said what. But like I said, you go back the second time and see who said what and why they said it. Right now you know how to make wudu. And so now you have, you don't understand. You have a hadith that people would travel miles for. I know how to make wudu with an authentic isnad. I know who's in the isnad. I know what the words mean. I can teach wudu. I can give a master class. When you go home, teach somebody how to make wudu. Every time that person makes wudu, right? And it's not just, well, you do this 3 times, you do that 3 times. No, I can tell you the way the Prophet made wudu, right? Because you have an isnad now, adjustuhu, al-Muwatta Imam Malik, right? You have an isnad back to Imam Malik, who has an isnad back to the Prophet of how to make wudu, right? You need the isnad, I'll give you the isnad. I can tell you what the exact isnad is, right? But now you can teach somebody as if you saw the Prophet make it. And you know the hadith is authentic. It's in the Muwatta. That's amazing, man. Who else can do that in their religion? Like, I know what the Prophet did in making wudu. I'm not guessing. I'm not conjecture. I'm not trying to figure out. I know what the Prophet did, how to make wudu. And I can tell anybody now. And not only can I tell anybody, قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن first one, the narrator, died 140. It was his grandfather, Amr ibn Yahya al-Mazini, and أبيه أن رجلا سأل عبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم وهو جد عمرو بن يحيى المازني هل تستطيع أن تريني إلى آخر الحديث. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. بارك الله فيك.